Chapter 313. It's the three-army practice field. What are Luo Qingtong and the others doing there? Grandfather Luo isn't here. Wait. When the eunuch was being beaten, he kept yelling that they were here to deliver a decree. Is this decree related to the three-army practice field? Damn. Is the royal family going to take back the three-army practice field? Isn't this too shameless? Someone couldn't help but yell. Yes, the three-army practice field is the result of Grandfather Luo's hard work. He built it all by himself. God knows how much resources he spent on it. Now that Grandfather Luo is in trouble, the royal family wants to take back the three-army practice field. Isn't this too much? Yes. Everyone in Dongli country knows that Grandfather Luo did everything for the three-army practice field. Because of this, the Luo family still doesn't have their own private army. Most of the Luo family's resources were given to the three-army practice field by Grandfather Luo. Grandfather Luo contributed a lot to the current number 1 army practice field. It's too disappointing for the royal family to do this. Yes. Look at the big countries around us. The only first-class aristocratic family that doesn't have a private army is the Luo family. They are the in-laws of the Tianyu royal family. Their status is much higher than those first-class aristocratic families in the other low-level countries. But they don't have a private army. This is almost inconceivable. Sigh. Grandfather Luo's accident is the most turbulent time for the Luo family. It's fine if the royal family doesn't comfort and protect them, but they can't wait to take over the three-army practice field. It's really shameless. Everyone couldn't help but sigh. If the Luo family had been bullying the common people and doing whatever they wanted with the three-army practice field, perhaps these people would applaud the royal family for taking back the three-army practice field. But the Luo family has always been conscientious. Grandfather Luo has been loyal and upright all his life. Even if he was engaged to the Tianyu royal family, he never showed off his status as the in-laws of the Tianyu royal family and never looked down on anyone. In Dongli country, from the common people to the Dongli royal family, almost all of them were indebted to Grandfather Luo. This was especially true for the royal family. The establishment of the three armies was entirely done by Old Master Luo himself. He had poured all his heart and soul into this weapon of the nation. Grandfather Luo's loyalty was exemplary. He never looked down on Dongli because of his marriage with Tianyu's royal family. He was loyal to the country and took root here. He wasn't arrogant or domineering at all, and he didn't let down the Eastern Fence royal family at all. He had always been respectful. Now that something had happened to the Luo clan, it ended up like this. Everyone couldn't help but sigh for the Luo clan. Sigh, I was just saying that the Luo clan was in trouble, but I didn't expect it to come so quickly. The royal family's action of kicking a man when he was down was too fast. The Luo clan is really pitiful. That's right. Especially Miss Luo, the future wife of Tianyu's 5th prince, the legitimate daughter of the Luo clan. How could she be bullied like this? The imperial family of Tianyu was too hateful. Our royal family is really too disappointing. Just because of a few words from Tianyu's royal family, they treated the Luo clan like this. Someone could not help but say angrily. That was the pillar of the Eastern Fence country. His Majesty was too short-sighted. However, those who knew the inside story knew that it wasn't the king who was short-sighted. He had been eyeing the Luo clan's military power for a long time. But because the Luo clan was backed by Tianyu's royal family, he didn't dare to be presumptuous. Now that the Luo clan had offended Tianyu's royal family by breaking off the engagement, he naturally couldn't wait to get his hands on them. From this, one could see how heartless he was. Chapter 314. At the same time, in the training field of the three armies. It was another day of training for the three armies. That was the rule set by Master Luo. Regardless of whether there was a war or not, the three armies had to gather on time and train in the training field to maintain their combat effectiveness. The spacious training field occupied thousands of square meters. At this moment, it was filled with people. Chenglu Wangye stood in high spirits at the place where Luo Leoa usually watched the military drill. Looking down at the scene below, he felt an indescribable sense of pride. Do you see that? The armies down there will soon belong to the royal family. After decades, the power of the royal family has fallen. Today, we can finally regain our power. He knew that King Dongli had sent someone to the Luo family to ask for the 3 armies' tiger tally. Master Luo had not appeared recently because of his illness. He had been patrolling the camp on behalf of Master Luo. However, in reality, Lord Sheng was only in charge of the defense of the royal family. He was not involved in the 3 armies at all. With his strength and military talent, he was not qualified to replace Master Luo as the head of the 3 armies. However, after old Master Luo stayed at home, the royal family of Dongli took control of the 3 military camps in the name of the country's most important treasure, which could not be easily entrusted to others. They also squeezed out the deputy commander arranged by old Master Luo. They said that the deputy general was not qualified to lead the 3 armies. When Master Luo was not around, the royal family took over. Even a pig could see their ambition. However, without Master Luo, the 3 armies had no backbone and did not know what to do. Especially in the past few days, the news of Master Luo's martial arts dissipation was spread by Luo Xinming, which shocked the 3 armies. The royal family went from bad to worse. They dismissed the deputy commanders and generals that old Master Luo had arranged for them and replaced them with their own people. At this moment, the 3 armies had become the sole authority of the royal family. Loyalty and patriotism was the creed that Master Luo instilled in the 3 armies. Therefore, even if they saw through the royal family's actions and felt indignant, they could only endure it in silence. Without Master Luo, they had no leader. The royal family had a legitimate reason to control the 3 armies. They could not resist at all. Haha. Yes. When we get the 3 armies' tiger tally, we will congratulate Lord Sheng for becoming the new commander of the 3 armies. The Luo family has become a thing of the past. Yes, Master Luo has dissipated his martial arts. The Luo family has no successor. The command of the 3 armies must be in the hands of the royal family. Let us first congratulate 6th Prince Cheng on his grand plan. A group of people crowded around 6th Prince Cheng, flattering him with flattering expressions. Who didn't know that the Luo clan's power was already gone? Old Master Luo's cultivation had dissipated, and he had lost control of the 3 armies. Everyone's flattery made Chenglu Wangye feel very comfortable. The man's words made the 6th king's face darken. "Heh, you don't want to hand it over?" He sneered. Now, the Luo clan has no choice. Look at yourself in the mirror. Da-da-da. Da-da-da. Chapter 315. Rumble. The sound of horse hooves on the ground was really deafening and extremely arrogant. The ground was faintly trembling. How dare you? Who is so presumptuous? Chenglu Wangye was still on the high platform watching the 3 armies drill. Suddenly hearing the sound of horse hooves, he was instantly furious. The place where the 3 armies were located was an important military area. All the unrelated people were not allowed to come within 300 meters of the barracks. 500 meters away, they had to dismount. This had always been the rule, even the Dongli king had to abide by it. Today's arrogant horse hooves completely broke this rule, and also broke the silence of the martial arts field. Rumble. Everyone turned their head to look in the direction of the sound of horse hooves. A majestic and tall date red horse first appeared in their sight, followed by a flame-like gorgeous color. That dazzling red was as red as the morning glow above the horizon, as red as the fire lotus that bloomed for eternity, and as beautiful as the clouds of fire floating in the sky. The brilliance of this color, its beauty, and its ability to move one's heart was truly indescribable. Everyone could only see an unparalleled jade-colored face, which was revealed on top of the flame-like beauty. It was like a floating flower that bloomed like a pistil in a wave. Luo Qingtong. Looking at the face that was more dazzling than before, Chenglu Wangye's face instantly became gloomy. This woman, what did she come here for? Did she want to use her identity as the future wife of the 5th Prince of Tianyu to suppress him? Humph. Unfortunately, the military power of the 3 armies was related to the righteousness of the country. Her identity as the future wife of the 5th prince was useless. If Luo Qingtong forcibly stopped him from taking back the military power, it would be unreasonable. He could forcibly take back the military power. He could also destroy the Luo family's 100 years of reputation. Thinking of this, Qing Lu Wangye sneered. He stood up, walked to the railing of the stand, and coldly shouted at the almost stunned soldiers at the entrance of the barracks, "What are you doing? This is the barracks, stop their horses for me." This Luo Qingtong was really looking for humiliation. She dared to ride a horse to the martial arts field. He would teach her a good lesson for the royal family and himself. Qing Lu Wangye thought so, his tone was ruthless. After his shout, the soldiers at the entrance of the barracks quickly reacted and subconsciously set up tripwires to trip the horses. At the same time, they also pulled out their weapons and went forward. "Stop!" They were shouting. At the front, the imperial guards and the attendant were drenched in cold sweat. "This is breaking into the barracks. Miss, this. Should we dismount first?" The attendant asked Luo Qingtong in a trembling voice. The latter ignored him and continued to look ahead with a cold smile. In the next second, she pulled the reins. Just as the attendant thought that she was going to stop the horse and dismount, the date-red horse under Luo Qingtong suddenly leaped into the air. All Luo clan's iron guards, charge! Boom! Under the command of Luo Qingtong, all the guards who followed Luo Qingtong tightened their reins and directly jumped over the heads of the soldiers who came to stop them. They crashed into the barracks gate and went straight in. "Luo Qingtong, how dare you!" Chapter 316. I'm here to deliver the tiger tally on behalf of the royal family. What's there to be presumptuous about? Luo Qingtong leads a group of Luo family's guards straight through the gate of the barracks. They directly pass through the soldiers of the 3 armies and stop in the middle of the square. The group of people and horses, like Moses parting the sea, forced the soldiers of the 3 armies to stand in line. The well-trained soldiers are forced by Luo Qingtong's biting cold momentum and involuntarily scatter to the sides, allowing her and the guards to pass through. "Luo Qingtong, how dare you quibble? Who allowed you to trespass in the barracks?" Prince Qing shouts angrily, "Even if you are the future 5th prince's wife of the Tianyu royal family, you can't ignore the military rules of our Dongli country." Guards, his words had just reached this point when he suddenly stopped abruptly. Below, Luo Qingtong holds a tiger roar talisman and raises it high. "I said, I'm here to deliver the tiger tally to the royal family." Luo Qingtong's voice is faint, but I think that just giving the tiger tally to the royal family is not enough to show the sincerity of our Luo family. So, I'm here to deliver it myself. Prince Qing, the holder of the tiger tally, can enter the barracks at will without any restrictions, so as not to delay the military plans. Is that right? That's right. Prince Qing looks greedily at the tiger tally in Luo Qingtong's hand. It takes a while for him to react to what Luo Qingtong said. He nods with a gloomy face. Then there's no problem. Luo Qingtong plays with the tiger tally in her hand. She twirls it in her palm and plays with it. Her words are full of carelessness. "In that case, I'm not breaking the military rules, right?" "Yes." Prince Cheng's face is gloomy again. "But since the tiger tally has been delivered, you can give it to me." As he spoke, he raised his hand and was about to suck the tiger tally into his hand. "Wait." Luo Qingtong raises her hand to take back the tiger tally, making him grab the tiger tally in vain. "Sixth Prince Cheng, you are too impatient. Since I've brought the tiger tally here, I'm not going to take it back. Back then, my grandfather collected this tiger tally for the sake of the Eastern Fence country. He gathered the 3 armies under the wings of our Luo family." Luo Qingtong's smile was wanton and cold. "If not for the burden of the 3 armies, my Luo clan's private army would be much stronger. If the royal family wants to take it back, I'm more than happy to oblige. However, Even though the Luo clan doesn't want this tiger talisman, the Luo clan doesn't care about it. However, there are some things that I would like to clarify. As she spoke, her empty black eyes swept across all the soldiers present. As you can see now, my Luo clan is in trouble. Grandfather's cultivation is scattered, and he's in a precarious position. I will immediately return the authority of the 3 armies to the Eastern Fence royal family. From now on, you have nothing to do with the Luo clan. My grandfather is no longer your commander. But at this moment, I want to ask, if you have a choice now, how many of you are willing to stand behind the Luo clan and overcome this difficulty with us? Luo Qingtong sits on the red horse and quietly looks at the soldiers on the martial arts field. These people are indebted to her Luo clan and were trained by her grandfather. It can be said that without grandfather Luo, the 3 armies would not have the momentum they have today. Luo Qingtong wanted to see how many people would remember her kindness back then and be willing to use their lives to repay the Luo family in this precarious situation where the Luo family was in trouble. Chapter 317. Oh. Silly girl, you're really naive. Hearing Luo Qingtong's question, Qingliu's gloomy face instantly turned into mockery. She doesn't know what her Luo family is like now. Anyone with the slightest bit of intelligence would not choose to board that lousy ship of theirs. Now, she actually asked the soldiers of the 3 armies if they were willing to follow her around. Isn't this the biggest joke in the world? In the camp of the 3 armies, they have the best resources. These people have been trained by Luo Laoi. Would they give up such a good environment in the camp of the 3 armies for a cripple? Luo Qingtong asking these words is simply asking for humiliation. In the square, there's a silence. Everyone, after Luo Qingtong's words, is silent in an instant. This silence is enough to embarrass anyone, but Luo Qingtong doesn't care at all. She faintly said, "No one?" In that case. She was about to give the order, but at this moment, a general standing not far from them suddenly gritted his teeth and took a step forward. This general, Dong Yu, is willing to follow the general. With that, he tore off the totem coat of arms on his body that symbolizes the identity of the 3 armies. The general's kindness to me is as heavy as a mountain. This subordinate is willing to follow the general back to the Luo family and overcome the difficulties together. This general is also willing. This general is also willing. I am willing. I am also willing. I am also willing. That. Won't you think my strength is too low? After Dong Yu took the lead, one by one, the generals and soldiers stood up. Unexpectedly, those soldiers turned out to be the most numerous. On the contrary, those generals, except for Dong Yu, almost half of them didn't move. These people, cultivated by Luo Laoi, obtained today's strength and achievements, but when the Luo family was in danger, they were not willing to stand up. Luo Qingtong looked at all of this indifferently. As more and more people stood up, the bloody light in her eyes flashed slightly. Before Luo Qingtong came, she was already prepared that no one would stand up today. Because no matter how you look at it, staying in the camp of the 3 armies is better than going to the Luo family. But she didn't expect that so many people would stand up. Although these people, not even 1/3 of the people in the camp of the 3 armies. But these people, they gave up everything to follow the Luo family. Grandfather's efforts in the past were not in vain. In this world, there are not only ungrateful people. Don't know why, looking at the scene in front of her, Luo Qingtong suddenly wavered a little. In her opinion, human nature is selfish. As long as their own interests, people will not hesitate to betray and give up. What kinship, friendship, love are all bullshit. But now, these people who stood. Luo Qingtong's Luo perhaps, in her previous life, it was because her luck was too bad that she met people with bad characters. Should she try to believe in human nature? These thoughts flashed through Luo Qingtong's mind in an instant and she quickly suppressed them. Very good. You won't regret today's decision. Now, everyone who stands up, come to my side. As for the rest. Luo Qingtong's lips curved into a cold smile. Chapter 318. Strip them. Luo Qingtong's voice was cold. Strip them of everything they have. What? The soldiers in the square were shocked. Those who had decided to stand behind Luo Qingtong and the Luo family were confused. They looked at Luo Qingtong and then at their former comrades who were stunned. They didn't know what had happened. Did they mishear Miss Luo's order? Miss? Even the Luo family's guards who came with Luo Qingtong were shocked. They didn't expect Luo Qingtong to give such an order. The guards and the chamberlain who were left behind by Luo Qingtong and the others almost fell off their horses when they heard Luo Qingtong's order. Did they hear wrongly? What did Miss Luo say? Strip them of what? I said, strip them naked. Luo Qingtong waved the horsewhip in her hand. She sat upright on the date-red horse. Her aura was high-spirited, sharp and unstoppable. The young girl who had just shown weakness and said that the Luo clan was in trouble seemed to have changed into a different person. The aura around her was extremely sharp and cold. Everyone knows that the Eastern Fence Army was established by the Luo family. The Luo family doesn't have a private army. We treat the army as our sons and nephews. My grandfather has spent a lot of effort in the three armies. Whenever he got a new spiritual weapon, my grandfather used it to test it. As an inferior country, the Eastern Fence Army didn't have many resources. It was the weakest among all the small countries. It's my grandfather. The Marquis. Shamelessly, he asked the royal family of Tianyu for the best armor and equipment. Excellent weapons, high-quality armor, and exquisite food. You ate what the Luo family's disciples ate. What kind of resources my Luo clan's disciples enjoy, the outstanding members of your three armies will also enjoy. Your strength, your armor, your weapons, your medicine, all of them came from the Luo clan. Now, the three-army tiger tally must be returned to the Eastern Fence royal family. Naturally, all the gifts given by the Luo clan will be taken back. At this point, Luo Qingtong raised her delicate jade-like face. In the dazzling radiance, the layer of jade on her face seemed to be sprinkled with a layer of warm light. Under the scorching sunlight, it was indescribably dazzling. Since you no longer have anything to do with my Luo clan, then you have no right to use our Luo clan's things. In the future, the Eastern Fence Army will naturally be worshipped by the royal family. Now, strip. Hearing Luo Qingtong's order, all the iron guards of the Luo family and those who had sided with the Luo family immediately rushed towards the three armies in the square. My apologies, fellow comrades, I've offended you. The eldest young miss is right. In the past, the commander-in-chief led us. Naturally, all of our food and clothing were taken care of by the Luo family. Now, the commander-in-chief had changed. You should return everything you have on you. Dong Yu and the others looked cynical, but their hearts were indescribably refreshed. Just a moment ago, they were still feeling stifled over what had happened to Grandfather Luo and the Luo family. They stood up because they couldn't bear to see the Luo family suffer such humiliation and no one to help them. But they didn't expect Luo Qingtong to be so reckless and bold. This method was simply too much for them to handle. Chapter 319. The royal family wanted to take back the military power of the three armies? Good. Just leave them an empty shelf. Without the excellent weapons provided by the Luo family, without the good resources from the Tianyu Empire. What was the difference between the so-called three armies and the private armies of the aristocratic families? Until now, everyone knew why Luo Qingtong handed over the tiger tally so easily. It turned out that from the beginning, she had been prepared to make the Dongli royal family suffer. The other side wanted to take the army that was built by the Luo family. For this reason, they didn't care about their reputation. Once Luo Leoi was in trouble, they became aggressive. Everyone knew Sima Zhao's intention. But Luo Qingtong directly took drastic measures to deal with them. You want the tiger tally? She will give it to you. But she wanted to peel off a layer of skin from the entire three armies. Those ungrateful people who simply forgot the kindness of the Luo family and stood on the Dongli royal family's side at this time. She didn't want any of them. She only wanted to see if they had a chance to stand in this world after losing everything given by the Luo family. Luo Qingtong sneered. Luo Qingtong. How dare you? Watching the Luo family's iron guards approaching the three armies, Prince Qinglu, who was sitting on the spectator stand, couldn't hold it anymore. The blue veins on his forehead jumped, and he stood up. He never thought that Luo Qingtong would do this. Originally, he thought the tiger tally would be easy to get, and the three armies would be under his control. Luo Qingtong would never disobey the royal family's order to take back the tiger tally. But now, Luo Qingtong didn't disobey the royal family's order, and she did want to hand over the tiger tally. But, she wanted to take away the entire three armies. She didn't even let go of the things on the soldiers. Without these, would the three armies still be the three armies? Would they still be the strongest army in Dongli? He was afraid that they were not even as good as the imperial guards trained by themselves. Thinking of this, Prince Qinglu suddenly felt that something was wrong. Luo Qingtong's move was too ruthless. Without all kinds of equipment, weapons, and resources, even if they took over the three armies, they would only be a pile of junk. A bunch of burdens. Thinking of this, Prince Qing became anxious. Heh. Why wouldn't I dare? Luo Qingtong sat upright on the jujube red horse. She raised her eyebrows and looked at him with a wicked expression. His eyes were empty and black, and the smile on his lips was indescribably cold and mocking. I'm taking back my Luo clan's things. Dare I ask the sixth prince, what's wrong with that? Does your highness think that the Luo family will still have to serve the three armies like a cow or horse after the royal family has taken back the tiger tally? What's more, the responsibility of providing for the three armies should be borne by the national treasury. The Luo family has been loyal and righteous for so many years. Now, it's time to take them back. Luo Qingtong's words instantly made Prince Qing speechless. He couldn't find any words to refute him. Luo Qingtong's words were reasonable. Even if she spoke to the ends of the earth, no one would be able to find any fault with her. The Eastern Fence royal family wanted the tiger tally, and she gave it to them. But Luo clan's things, she wanted to take them back. After all, Luo clan didn't have the responsibility to provide for the three armies. No aristocratic family would use their own pockets to support the three armies for the country and the royal family. But, things shouldn't be like this. Prince Qingliu's heart was in disbelief. How did things become like this? Shouldn't the Luo clan obediently swallow their anger, and then hand over the tiger tally with both hands, allowing the royal family to sit on the three armies and become the absolute ruler of Dongli? Luo clan was weak, shouldn't they be obedient and let him and others control them? Chapter 320. Sixth Prince Qing could not figure it out. Just as his expression turned ugly, the Luo family's iron guards and the soldiers of the three armies who had chosen to follow the Luo family approached the people who sided with the Dongli royal family. Don't come any closer. Finally, one of the generals could not stand it anymore and made a gesture of resistance. I don't care if these things belong to the Luo family or not. Now that they've given them to us, they're ours. You can't take them back. That's right. What right do you have to take back what you've given us? That's impossible. That's right. Brothers, we can't let the Luo family take advantage of us like this. These people had completely forgotten their sense of shame for the sake of their own interests. After saying such shameless words, they wanted to attack the Luo family's iron guards and the people who followed the Luo family. Who cared about the Luo family and the generals? Their own interests were the most important thing. Which one of their armors and weapons wasn't of the best quality? They would be able to suppress the other armies if they went out. Without these things, what was the difference between them and the people outside? The soldiers of the three armies who stayed knew very well that without these things from the Luo family, the Dongli royal family would not value them anymore. They might even treat them as trash and a burden. Moreover, they themselves couldn't bear to fall from their lofty and highly sought-after status. The reason why they betrayed the Luo family and chose to follow the royal family was that they did not want to give up the good environment and treatment in the three armies. They could not afford to lose the things they had on them. Not only that, the Luo family should not even think about taking away the resources in the three armies' barracks. With that thought in mind, these people revealed a ferocious look and prepared to attack. However, as soon as they raised their auras, they instantly dissipated. Their bodies went limp and they could not exert any strength at all. They were shocked. Before they could react, they had fallen to the ground. No matter how hard they struggled, they could not get up. What was even more frightening was that they could feel the auras in their bodies disappearing bit by bit. The disappearance was not obvious, but the feeling of it flowing away bit by bit was very torturous. They could feel their strength disappearing anytime, anywhere, but they could not do anything about it. What's going on? My strength. Ah! Someone cried out in disbelief. They lay on the ground, their faces were filled with disbelief. How could their strength? Luo Qingtong looked at this scene coldly with a bloody light in her eyes. Did these people think that she would come to the three armies' barracks without any preparation? Not only were they ungrateful, they even had the audacity to attack the Luo family's people. They were waiting for their strength to dissipate bit by bit, and they would be completely crippled. The process would be very slow, giving them enough time to regret everything they had done. Three armies as armies? Ha! Luo Qingtong sneered faintly. How could these ungrateful people be qualified to say that they were strong? These people to them, without the support Luo family? She was not too dirty to them, she was not too dirty to kill, I have to be to stop. To them all is to them, Luo halves. Ludos, are to her to stay were not twos have hats. Are to have to die. Chapter 321. Luo Jia's Iron Guard and others are very fast. After a while, on the wide martial arts arena, a large number of armors, weapons, and elixirs were taken from the soldiers of the three armies and piled up like a mountain. Chenglu Wangya looks at all this with a purplish-red face, the blue veins on his forehead are throbbing. However, he has no reason to stop Luo Qingtong's actions. The latter did not say that she will not give him the tiger tally, she just wants to take back what belongs to Luo Jia. Can he still shamelessly say that the things that Luo Jia prepared for the three armies are their things? Luo Qingtong has no right to take it back. Absolutely not. Therefore, he can only blush and angrily look at the actions of the Luo Jia's Iron Guard and those who stood in line to follow Luo Jia. His heart is so stifled that he can't stop it. Luo Qingtong. Chenglu Wangya's eyes are blood red. Today, the royal family was slapped in the face by Luo Qingtong. They covet the control of the three armies, but Luo Qingtong pulled the carpet from under their cauldron. What they got was completely an empty frame and junk. If this matter is spread out, it's enough to make the nearby small countries and the various aristocratic families laugh for a year. This matter can't be let go. Luo Qingtong really didn't know how to appreciate favors. Relying on the identity of the future fifth prince's wife, she insists on carrying the Luo Jia's lintel. Does she really think that we can't do anything to her? Without that identity, what is she? Chenglu Wangya gnashes his teeth fiercely, but Luo Qingtong is unspeakably calm. She let the Luo Jia's Iron Guard take all these things back to Luo Jia, including the entire warehouse of the three armies. Everything inside will be taken away. Except for dust, the Eastern Fence royal family will not get anything. Therefore, those curious people, who are waiting to watch the show outside the three armies, saw the Luo Jia's people drive the cars into the three armies' barracks and then return with a full load. A group of people is completely stunned, they don't know what's going on. Why does it feel like the three armies' barracks has become a vegetable market? And what is the Luo Jia pulling from inside? Could it be that the royal family was compensating them? But wasn't this too much? The crowd looked at the cars coming and going in and out of the place with puzzled expressions. Even if they were beaten to death, they would never have thought that Luo Qingtong would wipe out the entire military barracks. Who would have thought of such an arrogant and crazy thing? However, Luo Qingtong had done just that. Luo Qingtong, you will regret what you did today. Qinglu Wangye stood on the viewing platform and looked towards Luo Qingtong's direction with gritted teeth. Looking at the high-quality weapons and armors, as well as the various resources being transported away, he felt as if his heart was being ripped apart, throbbing with pain. However, without a valid reason, he could not touch Luo Qingtong. This made him even angrier. The hand that was holding the railing suddenly exerted force, and the jade railing was crushed into pieces. Heh! Luo Qingtong chuckled softly. Is that so? Then I'll wait for you to make me regret. I'm afraid you don't have the strength. Luo Qingtong did not put the Eastern Fence royal family in her eyes. She didn't touch them because she didn't want to expose her strength. If they insist on courting death, Luo Qingtong doesn't mind sending their whole family on a journey. Anyway, it's not that difficult to change the royal family of Eastern Fence country. Qinglu Wangye did not know Luo Qingtong's thoughts, otherwise he would have been scared out of his wits. Chapter 322. You. He looked angry and wanted to say something more. On the other side, Luo Qingtong, who was watching the last car of the Luo family leave, suddenly raised her hand. Give me the tiger-shaped tally. 6th Prince Cheng, I wish you, the newly appointed commander of the 3 armies, a speedy and successful appointment. You'll have a bright future ahead of you. And you, it's better to follow the royal family than follow the Luo family, who will be defeated at any time. I wish all of you a bright and boundless future. As Luo Qingtong spoke, she looked at the soldiers of the 3 armies who were lying on the ground with only their underwear left. In the past, those high-spirited and vigorous soldiers were the strongest in the 3 armies, but now they were in a mess. Luo Qingtong's words were like a slap to their faces. These people chose to abandon the Luo family and the cultivation of Master Luo for their own glory and wealth. They even wanted to fight with the Luo family's guards. Now they were dispersing their cultivation. Without the support of the Luo family's resources, even if the royal family found them weapons, armor, and other resources, how could they compare with the excellent ones Master Luo brought from the Tianyu Empire? What's more, the royal family had its own imperial guards. How could they treat the soldiers of the 3 armies equally? It was more likely that because of Luo Qingtong's actions this time, they would vent their anger on them. At that time, they would know how difficult life would be. All of this was the price they had to pay for betraying the Luo family. Luo Qingtong didn't kill them, but she made them suffer. These people, for their future glory and wealth, betrayed the Luo family, but now they had nothing. And those who didn't forget the kindness and were willing to follow the Luo family in the wind and rain, had everything. It was obvious who would use the things Luo Qingtong dragged away from the barracks of the 3 armies in the end. Thinking of this, these people were full of unspeakable regret. That feeling of remorse was like ants gnawing at their hearts, ruthlessly gnawing at their hearts. They had a chance, but they gave it up. Now they could only fall from the top of the clouds to the bottom of the valley, looking up at the people they had disdained and laughed at before. Not only that, Luo Qingtong's next words pushed their regret to the top. By the way, I forgot to tell you that the Luo family has been loyal for generations. My grandfather has been a soldier all his life, for the country and the people, without any selfishness. Now he can finally retire with glory. Thank you, royal family, for your sympathy. I will make good use of the things that were brought back from the Tri-Army operation. Among the many families, only my Luo family. Now I have these things, I can form an iron army. Here, I thank the royal family for your help. Thank you for taking the burden off my grandfather and the Luo family. So we can relax. When Luo Qingtong said this, the smile on her lips was devilish. The next second Luo Qingtong to the Luo family to the outside of Luo to Luo Qingtong, Luo clan's iron army, follow me back to my residence. Yes. Many of the soldiers who chose to follow the Luo family were indescribably excited. The Luo family's Iron Army. In the future, they will be the Luo family's Iron Army. He could now openly follow the commander. Haha. Let's go. Let's go back. A group of people excitedly galloped on their horses and followed Luo Qingtong's footsteps. Chapter 323. Rumble. The sound of horses galloping could be heard as the crowd watched the Luo family's convoy leave. Then, they saw Luo Qingtong leading a large group of soldiers out of the 3 army barracks. Oh my God! Everyone was dumbfounded as they looked at the long line of people. They didn't know what to say. These people were clearly wearing the elite armor of the 3 army soldiers. Why did they follow the eldest daughter of the Luo family out of the barracks? Could it be that the Luo family was indignant that their commander-in-chief position had been taken away and had rebelled? But on second thought, it didn't seem right. If that was the case, the royal family would be in an uproar. But until now, they hadn't heard any movement or sound of any wind. And with so many people rushing out of the barracks, why wasn't anyone chasing after them? No matter how they looked at it, it didn't seem like they were rebelling. The group of people was instantly confused. What the hell was the Luo family doing? Did they give the tiger tally or not? Everyone was confused. Meanwhile, Luo Qingtong had already led the Luo family's Iron Army back to the Luo family. The so-called Luo family's Iron Army was actually a name that Luo Qingtong had thought of. She had stolen the name of the Luo family's Iron Army from Old Master Luo's personal guards and established the Luo family's Iron Army. In any case, this name was iron-blooded enough. Old Master Luo would definitely like it. Rumble. When Luo Qingtong led the Luo family's Iron Army back to the Luo family, it caused quite a stir in Windgaze City. Especially the Chu family. Old Master Chu didn't follow Luo Qingtong and the Imperial Guards to the 3 army barracks. Due to his special status, he could only persuade Luo Qingtong to stop there. Although he felt that Luo Qingtong wouldn't leave the matter at that, he didn't expect Luo Qingtong to cause such a huge commotion. She actually brought back nearly a third of the 3 army soldiers. Could it be that she had fallen out with the royal family and rebelled? Subconsciously, Old Master Chu had the same thought. He immediately sent someone to inquire about the news. When Old Master Chu heard the news, he was dumbfounded. Luo Qingtong had done much more than he had imagined. Not only did he destroy the 3 armies, he even dragged half of them back to the Luo clan and established the Luo clan's Iron Army. How could a 14 or 15-year-old girl who had never seen the world be able to do such a thing? This method was even more ruthless than what he and Old Man Luo had done together. How did Old Man Luo raise such a granddaughter? With her around, how could the Luo family fall? Unless the engagement between Tianyu's royal family and the Luo clan was completely dissolved. Or maybe the royal family of Tianyu did it themselves. Otherwise, it was impossible. Old Master Chu was old and sharp. He saw through the crux of the matter at a glance. He took a deep breath and immediately called for his subordinates. Prepare a generous gift for me immediately. I want to pay the Luo clan a visit. The previous visit wasn't official. He was worried about the Luo clan's situation, so he went with the Imperial Guards to pass on the Imperial Edict. This time, Old Master Chu wanted to pay a visit to Luo Qingtong as the head of the Chu family and the Marquis of Dinghua. The granddaughter of his old rival wasn't simple at all. Chapter 324. Bang! A cloud of smoke exploded in front of Bei Qing and Fengyu. One of the rings on their hands shattered, forming a strange ghostly face in the air. La la la. You can't catch her. You can't catch her, right? The two looked at the disappearing cloud of smoke, their lips twitching. Fortunately, Master didn't come. Bei Qing said to Fengyu. Otherwise, he would die of anger. The evil doctor really knew how to play. Not only did she hide the ring in a strange place, but she also left such a message: if Master saw this, he would explode in a minute. And before. They had searched several places in a row, but they were all special places that were hard to explain. Thinking about how they had just entered a small brothel and were almost turned upside down, Bei Qing's face was still green. She didn't know why the evil doctor had so many strange ideas in her head. No wonder Master couldn't catch her every time. Let's go to the next one. Feng Yu's lips also twitched. He was also amazed by the evil doctor's ability to escape. No wonder Master had not set foot in that place for so many years, but still insisted on going back to get the Shifang dragon ring. It turned out that the evil doctor had come up with so many tricks. This 9 Netherworld Phoenix ring had been tossed into such a fake and shoddy product. How could she be so capable? This was really the person Feng Yu had met in his entire life. Other than his own master, he was the most unfathomable person. Let's go. Bei Qing looked like she had nothing left to live for. I hope we can find the evil doctor this time. I think it's very difficult. Feng Yu opened the sensor marker that his master had given him and the others. It was truly a headache that he couldn't describe. There were dozens of densely packed locations, all of which were the exact locations where Yi Qianxian had sensed the fluctuations of the 9 Netherworld Phoenix ring through the Shifang dragon ring. It extended from the Tianyu Empire to the surrounding areas. It was really a headache. After we find the evil doctor this time, we must tell her not to run away again. Master likes her and won't hurt her. Otherwise, we don't know how many times she will torture us. Feng Yu muttered in his heart. We must help Master to confess. Otherwise, they really wouldn't be able to withstand this devastation. The evil doctor was truly too extraordinary. Even the 9 Netherworld Phoenix ring couldn't hold her. I must help Master succeed in his confession. AI, why do you think our Master is so awkward? Didn't he just like evil doctors? You still refuse to admit it even if you're beaten to death. Bei Qing clutched her chest and said with lingering fear. He was so close to being sent to that bastard Zhua Fei to be trained again. He was scared to death. It's probably because Master has never liked anyone before, so he doesn't know what to do. Feng Yu frowned. The fervent demonic doctor was indeed too good at running. Master hadn't even caught him yet, so how could she admit to liking him? This was too embarrassing. Feng Yu could vaguely guess her master's thoughts. It's so profound. I don't understand. Bei Qing shook her head. But what kind of feeling do you think like is? Even someone as wise and powerful as Master has fallen for it. Maybe it's the feeling of not being able to get what you want? Feng Yu pondered and said, for example, you pay a lot of attention to a person and want to be by her side every time to share her burden and protect her. Hey, what's with that expression? Feng Yu looked at Bei Qing with a dark face. The latter's face was filled with fear. You're talking about us and our master, right? They were always paying attention to their master. They wanted to stay by his side and protect him. Get lost. Chapter 325. The two of them arrived at Wingate City in Dongli Country. Luo Qingtong stood in front of a group of soldiers who had followed her back to the Luo family. No, it should be called the Luo family's Iron Army now. She swept her gaze over the excited soldiers and said in a deep voice. Today is the day the Luo family's private army is established. From today onwards, you will be the only Iron Army of the Luo family. In the future, you will also be the pride of the Luo family. I'm going to ask you one last time. Do you regret joining the Luo clan at this time? If you regret it, you can stand up now. It's not too late. I allow you to leave. Luo Qingtong's voice was cold and indifferent. Everyone has to think for themselves. If you want to leave now, I will not stop you. Not only that, as a reward for standing behind the Luo family in times of danger, I will let you choose what you want from the 3 army barracks, miss. Don't say any more. When we stood up for the 3 army barracks, we had never thought of leaving the Luo family. Now that the Luo family has established an Iron Army, we are ecstatic. Miss, we are indebted to the general. Without him, we would not be where we are now. No matter what happens to the Luo family, we will never leave. Yes. Miss. Since we have chosen to stand by the Luo family, we have decided to live and die with the Luo family. You don't have to say these words today. We will never leave. That's right. We have been nurtured by the general. In such a precarious time, how can we abandon the Luo family? Miss, you don't have to say anything more. We are now members of the Luo family in life, and our souls in death. Yes. The crowd was in high spirits. Luo Qingtong looked at them, her heart slightly moved. These people showed her that there were still people in this world who could be trusted. Good. She looked at them and nodded. Since you have chosen the Luo family, I will not let you down. Those who have gratitude in their hearts will never be let down. I promise you that as long as the Luo family exists, you will all enjoy the same glory. In the future, no one will be able to stop you. Now, I want all of you to cripple your own cultivation. Luo Qingtong's eyes flashed with bloody light as she looked at them. What? All the officers and soldiers thought that Luo Qingtong wanted them to swear allegiance to the Luo family, and they were ready. But he didn't expect Luo Qingtong to say such words. Cripple my own cultivation? Everyone almost thought that they had misheard. However, at this moment, Luo Qingtong nodded lightly and repeated, that's right, cripple your own cultivation. Her voice was indifferent, and she did not explain why she wanted them to do so. What these people did in the end would determine their future. If they were willing to cripple themselves for the sake of the Luo family, then Luo Qingtong could completely trust them. Luo Qingtong wouldn't use oaths and poison to insult these soldiers who stood by the Luo family's side to repay their kindness. However, she had to ensure their absolute loyalty. She was now giving them a path to heaven, and it was up to them if they were willing to step on it. Miss? Chapter 326. To a martial artist, crippling their own cultivation meant that their many years of hard work would all be for naught. In the future, they would be reduced to ordinary people who couldn't cultivate. These people didn't understand why Luo Qingtong wanted them to do this. Didn't Miss bring them back to use them as a deterrent to those who had evil intentions towards the Luo family? Everyone was at a loss, struggling with all kinds of thoughts. But they didn't know that the battle slave experts in the dark were about to suffer internal injuries from envy and jealousy. Master's words clearly meant that she wanted to personally help them recuperate their bodies and improve their talents. To others, crippling one's own cultivation might mean that they would become a cripple. But in Master's hands, they could turn the rotten into the miraculous and be reborn. Looking at the changes in Master Luo, who was sleeping in the main room, they understood. These people were responsible for guarding Master Luo, so they were naturally the clearest about his changes. The current Master Luo's body was far superior to ordinary people in all aspects. If his talent increased, how long would it take to cultivate back to his original strength? Wouldn't that be easy? These people could be considered to have hit the jackpot. To be able to get Master's help. You can think about it carefully. If you don't want to, I won't force you. You can leave the Luo family now. My previous promise is still valid. Luo Qingtong quietly watched their struggle. She was invisible in the eyes of the soldiers of the three armies. Hence, the expression on their faces was even more realistic. Luo Qingtong took in all these people's expressions, waiting for their decision. Miss, can we ask why? Dong Yu and the other generals struggled to ask. They were the most powerful, so naturally they had the most concerns. No. Luo Qingtong's voice was indifferent. In the future, all of you have to remember. My orders have always been obeyed, never questioned. She had too many secrets, so it was impossible to explain everything to them. Those who weren't willing to obey her orders didn't have the qualifications to follow her. Yes. Dong Yu and the others lowered their heads, their hearts full of torment. At this moment, someone finally couldn't bear it anymore. Mother, isn't it just no strength? At worst, I can cultivate again. This father's strength was given to me by Commander. So what if I return it to the Luo family? As he spoke, he fiercely made a move on himself. Behind him, the rest of the soldiers seemed to have been moved as well, and they all began to move. The other party was right. Their strength was given to them by the Luo family. So what if they returned it to the Luo family? What's more, Luo Qingtong's words, it was for their own good. Although everyone had doubts about this, since they had given up the treatment of the three armies at the most dangerous time and came to the Luo family, they naturally would not easily go against Luo Qingtong's orders. The duty was to obey orders. They had sworn an oath that they would live and die as members of the Luo clan. How could the first thing Luo family? Those who dared to follow Luo Qingtong back and stand against the royal family were all brave men from the three armies, In the end, not a single person in the crowd was able to stand firm. All right. Luo Qingtong looked at their actions and suddenly raised her hand. Help them all up, bring them back to their rooms and take good care of them. 3 months later, I want a brand new, incomparably strong Luo family iron army. Yes. Chapter 327. Shock. Extreme shock. The Luo family's iron soldiers, who had just crippled their own cultivation, were now weaker than ordinary people. They were dumbfounded when they saw these battle slave experts jump out from the dark. How could they not be dumbfounded? Although they had lost their strength, their eyesight was still there. These people, even if they were not at the great martial general realm. What's more, they were at the martial lord realm. Oh my God. There was also a peak martial lord. The group of Luo family's iron soldiers, who had just passed Luo Qingtong's test, looked at the group of martial lord realm battle slave experts who jumped out at the end. Their faces were completely stunned. This, they weren't dreaming, right? Peak martial lord. That was not the strength of a commander. In an inferior country like Eastern Fence country, he would be relied on as a pillar and be conferred the title of Marquis. In the entire Eastern Fence country, a peak martial lord was already considered the top fighting strength. It was said that the royal family had a secret method to nurture martial king experts, but no one had seen it and no one knew about it. And now, everyone watched in shock as the experts that they could only look up to walked in front of Luo Qingtong and respectfully called out, "Master." Ouch! Someone fiercely pinched his own thigh. Then, he started crying from the uncontrollable force of his pinch. Oh my God. This is real, not a dream. Oh my God. Everyone was speechless, their eyes were full of shock, and they did not know what to say. They could only let the group of battle slave experts help them back to their rooms with a wooden face. They had never enjoyed such treatment in their lives, even in their dreams. Dong Yu and the other generals looked at each other in dismay, their faces full of shock. Their strength could already be ranked at the top in Eastern Fence country, but the battle slave experts in front of them were almost all stronger than them. Not to mention those martial lord experts. Who said the Luo family was about to fall? Fall my ass. Just these people, any one of them was enough to deter everyone. Not to mention there were a few here. To put it bluntly, with the lineup under Luo Qingtong's command, in Eastern Fence country, she could destroy any family she wanted. Probably only the royal family could barely contend against her. And that was under the condition that a martial king expert was dispatched. If not, even the royal family would not be able to withstand the attacks of the Luo family. The Luo clan actually had such strength? The people outside had all misjudged him. Everyone was aghast. What they didn't know was that Luo Qingtong's strength wasn't limited to this. The few martial kings from the Nine Magi Mountain had yet to show themselves. If they appeared, Dong Yu and the others would probably faint from fright. What did a group of martial emperor realm experts represent? It meant that as long as Luo Qingtong was willing, she could easily flatten any low-level country. Even a slightly weaker mid-sized country would not be able to compete with her. Dong Yu and the others looked at all of this with their mouths agape. There was only one thought in their minds, and that was, if anyone really thought that the Luo clan was finished and came to bully them, then they would really be finished. The group of people was supported and left. Before leaving, she was shocked by Luo Qingtong's words. By the way, take off all the rags they are wearing. Don't wear them anymore. Luo Qingtong had looted the treasury of the Tianyu Empire's royal family, so she had nothing to worry about. The Luo family's iron army was loyal to her. In times of crisis, they did not abandon the Luo family. Naturally, she would give them the best reward. Chapter 328. Yes. The group of battle slave powerhouses respond. On the other hand, the Luo clan's soldiers almost stumbled and fell to the ground even though they were being supported. Oh my god. They're wearing the most elite equipment in the entire Eastern Fence army. Seeing Luo Qingtong wipe out the entire 3-army camp, 6th King Cheng's heart ached and the faces of the remaining soldiers were ashen. One could tell how good these armors were. Luo Qingtong actually said these are junk. Could it be that eldest miss has better equipment in her hands? The group of people think. They've just recovered their wits with great difficulty, but they're once again shocked by this shocking news and can't recover for a long time. By the time they react, they've already been helped back to their rooms. You guys hit the jackpot. Master doesn't make a move easily. Do you know what Master's identity is? The group of battle slave powerhouses say enviously. What? A soldier asks foolishly. Evil Dr. Ghost Eye. Plop plop. In an instant, a few soldiers who just climbed onto their beds lose their footing and fall from above. If it weren't for those battle slave powerhouses, who knows how they would have fallen to the ground. What did you say? Everyone is completely shocked and dazed. This is even more shocking than the Luo clan hiding such a powerful force in private. Luo Qingtong is actually evil Dr. Ghost Eye. That Blackfield's evil doctor, even the Lanhua clan has to personally send out a purple rank invitation and the bloody arena is protecting her. Evil Dr. Ghost Eye? That's not the point. It's evil Dr. Ghost Eye who directly made an Earth Stage alchemist of the Blackfield auction house wish he was dead. From then on, she became famous and became an honored guest of Eastern Fence Country's Blackfield branch city. A person who can kill an Earth Stage alchemist, what kind of concept is that? What's more, eldest miss is still young. Oh my god. Everyone widens their eyes and clutches their chests. They almost have a heart attack. Damn, this happiness came too suddenly. They can't quite bear it. So, there's hope for our strength to recover? A soldier asks in a trembling voice. What's the big deal? Just wait to ascend to the heavens in the future. A battle slave expert said enviously, I wonder what kind of good fortune you guys accumulated in your previous lives. I can't believe he has such luck. Just you wait. 3 months later, you will be reborn and be reborn. Just when the Luo clan's iron army was shocked by the new news and almost fainted, in the palace of Dongli, King Dongli was furious when he heard the news. He slapped the luminous pearl he was playing with in his hand and broke it. Bastard. Luo Qingtong is too bold. And all of you, a bunch of trash. Being toyed with by a teenage girl. You actually have the face to come back and see me. If I were you, I would have killed myself already. He angrily scolded Prince Cheng and the others. This group of trash, he had sent them to take over the 3 armies, and this was what they brought back. The encampment of the 3 armies was now a mess, and he still had to find a way to settle down those soldiers who had been stripped of all their equipment. If it weren't for the fact that these people still had some fighting strength, King Dongli would have just left them there to fend for themselves. Forget it, it's better than nothing. It's better than nothing. At least these people were trained by the country guarding marquis. Whether it's fighting strength or experience, they are far above the Imperial Guard. They can still be used after being incorporated. Thinking this, King Dongli's anger subsided a bit. He waved his hand to let Prince Cheng and the others leave first and allocate some of the Imperial Guard's resources to the 3 armies. Chapter 329. Your Majesty, it's not that we are incompetent. It's that Luo Qingtong is too arrogant. She is the future wife of the 5th Prince of the Tianyu Empire. We don't dare to touch her. Sixth Prince Cheng and his entourage lay on the ground and cried bitterly. Not only did she take away all the supplies of the three armies, leaving an empty shell for us, she also crippled all the soldiers of the three armies. Prince Cheng's face was gray. He never thought that Luo Qingtong's means were so cruel. At that time, after Luo Qingtong left, he didn't think too much. He directly scolded those soldiers who were stripped naked to get up. However, when a group of people crawled up while trembling in fear, another group of people were lying on the ground like dead fish. Only then did Qing Lu Wangye feel that something was wrong. After asking, he learned that when Luo Qingtong ordered the Luo family's iron guards to attack, these people were ready to resist. But before they could do anything, they were all paralyzed. Not only that, the strength in their body was still disappearing little by little. A group of people wept bitterly as they told Qing Lu Wangye not to abandon them. Otherwise, they would have no chance to live at all. Prince Cheng's heart was shocked. At this time, a soldier who had just activated his strength suddenly cried out in despair, "My strength! My strength is slowly disappearing." It turned out that even those who didn't do anything at that time, when they activated their strength later, fell into the same treatment as those who had attacked before. It turned out that Luo Qingtong's previous sentence, "I advise you not to do anything, or you will have to bear the consequences," was not that they shouldn't fight with the Luo family, but that from now on, they couldn't use their strength. Otherwise, they would lose their strength. These people, because Master Luo lost his strength, turned to the Dongli royal family. Luo Qingtong naturally wanted them to taste the corresponding pain. Want glory and wealth? Want to be driven by the Dongli royal family to deal with the Luo family? She didn't give them a chance. She wanted to take back everything that the Luo family gave them, including these strength. At this point, the three armies that the Dongli royal family tried their best to control completely became a pile of mud and useless firewood. Since the Dongli royal family wanted to kill the cunning rabbit and cook the hound, then Master Luo didn't train the three armies for them. Luo Qingtong was such a vengeful and ruthless person. Those who helped her, she would repay them tenfold. Those who hated her, she would repay them 100-fold. She was righteous, but if they didn't, don't blame her for being ruthless. She didn't have Master Luo's loyalty to the Dongli country and the royal family. Naturally, she didn't care about the three armies. Since the Luo clan had no one to help them when they were in trouble, there were still people who hit them while they were down. Then, she would let them know that without the Luo family and old Master Luo's sacrifice, they were nothing. There were always some people who, after getting used to living a good life, began to forget who had brought these days to them. What? When King Dongli heard this, he almost thought that he had misheard. "That's me, Royal Luo, the three armies." As the army's voice rose by an octave. After receiving Master Qingliu's panicked and frightened nod, King Luo felt dizzy and almost fell to the ground. "Send a message to the Tianyu royal family," he roared. "Let them see how to deal with Luo Qingtong. With her, we can't touch the Luo family openly." King Luo was really angry. Just as he sent a message to the Tianyu Empire, in the Black Field, Yi Qianxian finished bathing and sat on the wide bed in his bedroom, rubbing the Shifang dragon ring in his hand. Chapter 330. A strand of spiritual force suddenly emanated from his body, wrapping around the 10-directional dragon ring in his hand. Yi Qianxian had originally planned to personally look for Luo Qingtong. However, Elder Yu seemed to have comprehended a new method from the changes in his body. He hastily left behind a few words, telling him not to leave the Black Field for the time being and to return to the medicine hall for seclusion. Since it was related to his injuries, Yi Qianxian could only stay behind and send Bei Qing's wind feather out. However, although he couldn't go himself, he still wanted to see that woman. He wanted to see if that heartless woman had forgotten about him. Thinking of this, Yi Qianxian's deep eyes faintly flashed. With a whoosh, his consciousness followed his strand of spiritual force and entered the 10-directional dragon ring. The black ring on the ring finger of his left hand suddenly shone brightly and emitted a lustrous light. At the same time, eastern border country, Windgaze City. Luo Qingtong had finished refining all the medicinal liquids needed by the Luo clan's Iron Army. She was indescribably tired and fell asleep as soon as she returned. Little Pig was tossed out of her sleeve. It snorted a few times and also fell asleep next to her. It was already sleeping soundly when Luo Qingtong was refining medicine. Now that it was on the bed, it was even more snoring. The master and pet were sleeping soundly, but they didn't notice that the 9 phoenix ring on Luo Qingtong's hands suddenly flashed. A faint, fiery red light flashed and disappeared. Where is this? Luo Qingtong was in a daze when she discovered that she had appeared in a strange space. It was a vast expanse of white all around. It was as if she was stepping on air. Where is this? Is this a dream? But why did she have such a strange dream? Shouldn't it be a better dream? For example, some delicious food, a handsome man. Luo Qingtong had just thought of this when the mist in front of her suddenly dispersed, revealing a black figure. The man was dressed in a pure black robe with golden edges. The outer robe was casually draped over his body, revealing a pure white inner robe and a slightly open chest. His long hair, which was like a waterfall, seemed to be dripping with water as it draped over the man's back, reaching his ankles. The water on the surface had dyed his heavy robe and made it stick to his body. It made the man's body look even more slender and his skin was as white as jade. That perfect face that angered both men and gods was now looking indifferently in the direction of Luo Qingtong. Women. Yi Qianxian narrowed his eyes and spoke in a low voice. Oh my God. Looking at the man in front of her, Luo Qingtong almost subconsciously turned around to run. Seeing her actions, Yi Qianren, who was originally quite happy to see her, suddenly had a heavy expression on her face. She instantly appeared beside her and raised her hand to grab her. This woman actually wanted to avoid him even in her dreams. Was he that scary? Why did she want to avoid him so much? Thinking of this, Yi Qianren gritted her teeth. However, before he could grab Luo Qingtong, the latter suddenly slapped her head and stopped herself from running away. Aya. Why am I running? This isn't real, it's just a dream. Thinking of this, she turned around and walked towards Yi Qianxian. Yi Qianxian? Chapter 331. Haha. This dream is so realistic. Except for the clothes I'm wearing, isn't this the first time that man tried to grab me? Luo Qingtong said as she threw herself into Yi Qianxian's arms with a smile. The latter was stunned. Before he could react, she had already thrown herself into his arms. Woman, you, Yi Qianxian retracted his hand. Just as he was about to say something, his body suddenly stiffened. Luo Qingtong was touching his body. Wow. The feeling of your body is exactly the same as a real person. Are all dreams so realistic now? Yi Qianxian was touched by her until his entire body was hot and dry. He was so stiff that he couldn't speak. His body was transformed from a wisp of his soul. Through the connection of the dragon and phoenix rings, he came to this consciousness space opened up by the 9 netherworld phoenix ring. It could be said that Luo Qingtong touching him now was equivalent to touching him. Woman, have you always been so bold and unrestrained? Yi Qianxian grabbed Luo Qingtong's hand that was constantly touching his body. His voice was hoarse as he looked at her with deep eyes. This woman had previously avoided him like a snake or a scorpion. Why did she suddenly become so enthusiastic? Yi Qianxian was very uncomfortable with Luo Qingtong's hot and cold attitude. No, I'm only bold and unrestrained towards you. Luo Qingtong blinked her eyes and said. Sure enough, this was a dream. This man would actually ask her such a question. How interesting. She thought as she hooked her neck closer to the man and blew into his ear. What's wrong? Lord doesn't like it? Facing a dangerous man in reality, Luo Qingtong naturally kept a respectful distance. But in a dream, it was different. This man was under her control. Of course, she could tease him however she wanted. How could Luo Qingtong let go of such a high-quality man? In fact, if Yi Qianxian wasn't too dangerous, in reality, she wouldn't let him go either. The young lady's sweet fragrance seemed to spread rapidly towards his ears with that breath. It was clearly a dream, but Yi Qianxian seemed to smell the sweet scent on her body. You. He tightened his grip on her hand and his eyes were indescribably deep. In the next second, in front of Luo Qingtong's widened eyes, he suddenly pressed her to the ground. You want to touch me? Come back to the black field with me. You can touch me however you want. His eyes were gloomy as he looked at the young girl who was like a blossoming peach blossom beneath him. He looked at her mouth that was slightly open due to shock and her eyes that were wide open. He was obviously such an evil and wanton person, but in this moment of surprise, he inexplicably gave people a very lovable feeling. However, Yi Qianyan knew that all of this was just an illusion. As long as this woman was given a chance, she would be able to turn the world upside down. He had never seen such a tormenting woman, but he was deeply trapped inside. Tell me your real name, woman. He gently nibbled on the young girl's delicate lips. His low and hoarse voice was like a demon's coaxing. Tell me where you are, your real identity. This woman clearly liked him. Yi Qianxian's eyes shone. This was the first time he wanted a woman so much. And this woman's hands were moving up and down his body, which meant that she wasn't completely indifferent to him. As if she was tempted by Yi Qianxian's words, Luo Qingtong opened her mouth. Chapter 332. With a whoosh, Yi Qianxian's entire body seemed to be locked up by invisible chains. In the next second, Luo Qingtong, who was lying on top of countless white clouds, suddenly exerted force and pushed him under her body. Lord, are you happy? This is my little gift to you. Luo Qingtong's lips hung an evil smile. Her face, which was already beautiful to begin with, was now set off by a wicked and wanton smile, making her appear even more soul-stirringly beautiful. This kind of beauty even surpassed the beauty of a pure appearance, and directly struck at the heart. Like a soul-sucking demon. You. Yi Qianxian's 4 limbs were imprisoned by the invisible chains that extended from the surrounding white clouds, and he could only let the girl push him down. This woman. He was deceived by her pretense of being well-behaved and obedient again. Yi Qianxian's heart was filled with a burst of anger. He was angry that he always unconsciously let down his guard when facing this woman. He was also angry that this woman always thought of ways to avoid him. Yi Qianxian's face was dark, but Luo Qingtong's face was indescribably smiling like a flower. Previously, she really thought that she was dreaming, and was prepared to properly take liberties with Yi Qianxian. After all, she couldn't provoke this man in reality, but couldn't she be impudent in a dream? But after the man pushed her down and said those words, she instantly became vigilant. Luo Qingtong originally suspected that the 9 Phoenix ring wasn't an ordinary ring, and it was very likely that it was an extremely precious item on Yi Qianxian's body. Since that was the case, then the connection between the 2 rings couldn't be one-sided. In other words, this man could use this ring to restrain her, and similarly, she could also use this ring to restrain him. The connection between these 2 rings should be equal. They should affect each other. Now it seemed that she had guessed correctly. Just now, she was being pressed down by Yi Qianxian and couldn't move because she was looking for a way to control this space. Now, she had indeed found it. Be good, don't be angry, Luo Qingtong smiled and leaned over to kiss the man's thin lips, and her smile was indescribably evil. The man lying under her was truly a feast for the eyes, and Luo Qingtong's heart was somewhat stirred. But when she thought of this man's boundless strength in reality, Luo Qingtong instantly withered. Some men could be seen, but not eaten. Eating them could kill. AI. She turned over and sat on Yi Qianxian's body, her fingers lightly stroked the man's chest. Honorable Lord, tell me, why are you chasing after me so relentlessly? You see, although I've done some bad things to you before, I've made up for it. See, you fainted in the 9 Phoenix Mountain, eastern borders Black City, and the Tianyu Empire. Fine, let's forget that incident, that time. But, I've saved you too. Can we stop revenge, when there's an end of it? Tell me. What do I have to do to stop you from catching me? Yi Qianxian was fuming from Luo Qingtong's touch, especially when the girl's fingers occasionally brushed against his sensitive spots. This woman, what exactly does she want? Let go of this lord first, he said with a dark face. I won't let go. Luo Qingtong looked at him from the corner of her eyes, and saw that the man's handsome face was even darker from anger, but he was still shockingly handsome. She couldn't help but lean over and kiss him on the lips. Chapter 333. She licked her lips and said with a smile, "It wasn't easy for me to catch you when you weren't paying attention. If I let you go, I'll be the unlucky one." That man's ring was definitely more advanced than hers. Luo Qingtong wouldn't gamble on a fluke. She would never let go of Yi Qianxian. What's more, she had never heard of anyone who didn't want food delivered to their doorstep and send it back. It was good for men to be like this. Luo Qingtong liked the way he was being suppressed by her. She didn't want to let go of him. Only the current Yi Qianren was her prey that completely belonged to her. The smile on Luo Qingtong's lips was evil. She couldn't touch the real Yi Qianxian, but now she couldn't let go of this Yi Qianxian. Evil eye, you. Yi Qianxian was so angry at Luo Qingtong's righteous words that the veins on his forehead were throbbing. This woman was really, Yi Qianxian didn't know what words to use to describe Luo Qingtong. The only thing he was sure of was that this was the boldest and most difficult to see through woman he had ever met. Luo Qi. Just as Yi Qianren was angered by Luo Qingtong until his face turned black, the young lady's voice suddenly rang out. Luo Qingtong leaned over and whispered into his ear. She enunciated every word clearly. My name is Luo Qi. This is my real name. Remember it. This is my only name that is deeply engraved in my soul. Luo Qingtong was raised by a beggar in her previous life. What kind of culture could a beggar have? Luo Qingtong was picked up by him on the 7th of December. She took the beggar's surname Luo and was called Luo Qi. Luo Qingtong was the name she changed after she became famous. Firstly, this name was her first warm memory. She didn't want to take it out and let those who hated her curse at her. Secondly, those people who hated her called her evil eye. Luo Qingtong wanted to go against those people, so she gave herself the name Qingtong. Didn't they say that she was evil? She wanted to clear it. Luo Qingtong's temperament was so evil. Luo Qi. The anger in Yi Qianxian's heart was immediately extinguished by this name. Luo Qingtong might not have known, but in the true Spill continent, only a child that had been completely abandoned by their family would not be given a name. Instead, their name would be replaced by a ranking number. Then, he thought about how he had been looking for the other party for so long but still couldn't find him. With the other party's strength and ability, it was impossible for him to be unknown. There was only one possibility. Her situation was not good, so she needed to hide and cover herself everywhere. Thinking of this, Yi Qianxian's heart suddenly ached for Luo Qingtong. He wasn't so angry that Luo Qingtong was always hiding from him. Let go of this lord. From now on, this lord will protect you. He would never let anyone bully her again. Protect her? Luo Qingtong's heart inexplicably skipped a beat. She looked at the handsome and solemn face of the man beneath her. She didn't know why, but she had an impulse to believe him. But, Luo Qingtong looked up and down at Yi Qianxian's movements that she was suppressing. Her lips curved into a sly smile. High Lord has made great progress. You know how to use such words to deceive me. But, these are all leftovers from my games. So, High Lord, you should be obedient. I won't be fooled. As she spoke, she leaned over and nibbled on the man's lips. Luo Qi. The veins on Yi Qianxian's forehead bulged again. Chapter 334. Master. A voice suddenly sounded out from outside. Yi Qinxian's mind was drawn out from the 10 directions dragon ring, leaving only a wisp of his soul inside. "Come in," he said in a low voice. "Yes." The person respectfully waiting outside walked in. It was Zhuo Fei, the person in charge of the intelligence building. "Master." Zhuo Fei didn't have the frivolous and enchanting appearance that he had in front of others. Instead, he stood in front of Yi Qianxian with a very serious expression, without the slightest bit of frivolity. Speak. "We found out some news from the Lanhua family. This matter involves the young master of the Lanhua family, so we came out a bit late." As Zhuo Fei spoke, he reported the information that Yi Qianxian had asked him to investigate. After the young master returned from 9 Magus Mountain, he was suddenly able to cultivate. The Lanhua family kept this matter a secret because they were afraid that the people there would cause trouble. My subordinates spent a great deal of effort to find out. And when they went to Eastern Fence Nation's Blackfield Branch City, the young master also went with them. If I'm not mistaken, the poison in the young master's body should have been cured by the evil doctor. As Zhuo Fei spoke of Luo Qingtong, his tone was very respectful. Firstly, he understood that his master had feelings for this evil doctor. Secondly, the medical skills that Luo Qingtong had displayed were truly amazing. It had to be known that the poison in the young master's body had been cured by the Black Field in the past, but almost no one had been able to cure it. Although Elder Yuelao could cure the young master, it would take far too long to guarantee that the young master would be completely unharmed. Not just that, but the herbs required were not something that could be found in the true Spill continent. Thus, he naturally had no intention of doing anything. But after a trip to 9 Magus Mountain, the young master was suddenly healed and could even cultivate. The young master's matter is still being kept a secret. I'm afraid that it will only be revealed to the public after the Tianyu Empire's the Empire of Qin Branch City enrolls students. The Lanhua family wants to use this method to push the young master onto the stage so that the people there won't dare to act rashly. Yi Qianxian nodded, his expression a bit dispirited. This news was useless to him. If it were before he discovered that Luo Qingtong was evil Dr. Ghost Eye, he might have been happy. But now, it was completely useless. But this matter was related to that woman. Thinking about the little boy's true identity, Yi Qianren frowned and ordered Zhuo Fei, "Have someone keep an eye on the Lanhua family. Report to me if there are any strange movements." That little Shota's identity was not ordinary. The Lanhua family might not have sent out such a grand invitation just to express their gratitude. Of the sect of the heavens. If that was the case, that woman might be involved in the dispute. Since he said that he would protect that woman, then he would definitely protect her. Perhaps through the Lanhua family, he might be able to capture that cunning woman. With her temperament, if she saved that young master, she didn't owe him a favor. She must have hit it off with him. Since she had given him her name in advance, she would definitely appear when she received the news. He only needed to send someone to wait for her. Yes. Zhuo Fei answered and left. Chapter 335. Whoosh. Yi Qinxian's consciousness returned to that wisp of soul. His body was still bound by the chains, but that evil and hateful woman was no longer in this space of consciousness. Luo Qingtong had already mastered how to use the 9 Netherworld Phoenix Ring, so Yi Qianxian couldn't use the Shifang Dragon Ring to restrain her. If he hadn't wrapped the 9 Netherworld Phoenix Ring with a ball of energy in advance, he might have even lost her position. Thinking of this, the veins on Yi Qianxian's forehead popped again. He pulled his consciousness out of the 10-directional dragon ring and found Zhuo Fei again. Spread a net throughout this sovereign's territory and find a person called Luo Qi, regardless of gender. Do this in secret and don't leak the news. Otherwise, with that woman's craftiness, she would run away without a trace. Although Yi Qianxian doubted whether this was Luo Qingtong's real name, that woman didn't look like she was faking it, so he might as well give it a try. Yes. Zhuo Fei answered. Luo Qi, why was this name so strange? Could it be the name of the evil doctor? Zhuo Fei looked at his master's dark face and tactfully didn't ask. Master must have been defeated by the demonic doctor again, Zhua Fei thought and glanced at the Shifang dragon ring on Yi Qianxian's left ring finger. He suddenly coughed lightly and said, "Actually, Master, women like to hear sweet words." "Master, you can try." Every time Master was angered by the evil doctor, they, as subordinates, were also anxious. If this went on, when would Master be able to win the beauty's heart? And the evil doctor wasn't an ordinary person. Sweet words? Hearing his words, Yi Qianren frowned. He thought about how he and Luo Qingtong would protect her, but in the end, that woman still lied to him and even bit him on the lips. Thinking of this, Yi Qianxian's face instantly darkened. This sovereign said I would protect her, but she bit me. As Yi Qianxian spoke, he unconsciously raised his hand to touch his lips. That woman was really, but for some reason, Yi Qianxian didn't feel angry at being bitten at all. He only felt a faint pain in the place where he was bitten, mixed with a slight numbness. The soul fragment was connected to the main body, so when Yi Qianxian's soul fragment was bitten, his main body also felt it. He was really poisoned by that woman. Yi Qianxian's heart was filled with hatred. If it was someone else dared to do this, he would have long been torn to pieces. However, that woman treated his dignity as nothing. She kissed him whenever she wanted and nibbled on him whenever she wanted. She was clearly avoiding him like something, yet she was baring her fangs and brandishing her claws in places where he couldn't catch her. He really wanted to catch her and teach her a good lesson. Thinking of this, Yi Qianya's face turned even darker. Cough, cough, cough. Yi Qianxian's words caused Zhua Fei to cough violently. It can't be, right? Bite? So explosive? But his master had already confessed. How could the evil doctor be so indifferent? That's not possible. He stole a glance at Yi Qianxian's darkened face and asked carefully, "Master, did you say something at the wrong time?" When he said this, Yi Qianxian instantly thought of the time when he was pinned down by Luo Qingtong. What should he say? Should he say that he was careless and fell into that woman's trap? Seeing his master's face suddenly change, Zhua Fei's heart was filled with alarm. He quickly found an excuse to leave and ran away. Oh my God, if he was any later, he might end up like that idiot Bei Qing. But what exactly did the evil doctor do to make his master so angry? She was really something. Chapter 336. At the same time, the awesome Luo Qingtong had just woken up from her dream. She was lying on the bed, hugging her blanket and laughing mischievously. Yi Qianxian's appearance was simply too amusing. If it wasn't for him suddenly pulling his attention away, Luo Qingtong would have wanted to play for a while longer. It was rare to have the opportunity to tease that man without him being able to resist. Sigh. If she had known that this man was so terrifyingly strong, she would have taken advantage of him a few more times when she first met him. Unfortunately, it was hard to buy that with 1,000 gold coins. Moreover, that man at that time was also not to be trifled with. Luo Qingtong recalled Yi Qianxian's incomparably cold and furious gaze at that time. She immediately squinted her eyes and laughed again. She liked to tease large carnivores, especially men as strong as Yi Qianxian. Unfortunately, the other party's strength was simply too strong. Every time, she had to put in a lot of effort to tease him. Moreover, that man's improvement was too fast, right? Today, he actually knew how to use sweet words to corrode her heart. Fortunately, she wasn't the kind of person who would be charmed by men. If she really let that man go, perhaps the control of that consciousness space would be taken away again. She wasn't going to fall for it. Thinking of this, Luo Qingtong laughed again. However, that man's sweet-talking skills were pretty good. She almost believed that sentence. No one had ever said that they would protect her in front of her. It wasn't that no one said it, but that some people wanted to say it, but they were much weaker than her. As for those people who were stronger than her, Luo Qingtong supported her forehead with her hand and carefully thought about it. She realized that there weren't many of them. Of course, this was referring to her previous life. Hey, why are you laughing so happily by yourself? Little Pig was still in a daze from his sleep. He was almost suffocated by Luo Qingtong's action of rolling around in the blanket. With great difficulty, he crawled out from the blanket. When he saw Luo Qingtong's smiling face, he suddenly shuddered. What's wrong with this woman? His appearance was so horrifying. What's with that expression? Luo Qingtong glared at Little Pig's horrified expression and flicked its nose. Get up. You only know how to eat, drink, and sleep all day, and you're still talking about the ancient divine pig. No matter how ancient you are still a pig. You're insulting my divine pig's reputation. Little Pig jumped up in anger. Was he to blame it for not having the chance to display its strength? It was clear that this woman was too inhuman. He would kill any expert that came. If another one came, he would be beaten to death again. How could there be such a weirdo like her? If it were anyone else, they would have long prostrated themselves in worship. Humph. Luo Qingtong snorted and ignored it. This pig only knew how to twist words and force logic. However, Luo Qingtong could feel that Little Pig was much stronger than when she first met him. It should slowly grow along with her strength. If it wasn't for the fact that he still had some use, Luo Qingtong would have thrown him into the demon-subduing pagoda long ago. All right, let's go. She stood up and said to Little Pig. Where are we going? Little Pig looked at her and asked. 9 Shaman Mountain. Luo Qingtong narrowed her eyes. It was time for her to tidy up the items in the Tianyu imperial family's treasury. Previously, she hadn't had the time to do so. You guys stay in the Luo residence. I won't see anyone when I'm not around. Kill all trespassers without mercy. Do you understand? Luo Qingtong instructed the group of battle slave experts before she left. Yes. The group of battle slaves answered. Chapter 337. Your Majesty, we got the news that Luo Qingtong has left the Luo family. Should we, in the Dongli Palace, Prince Cheng is reporting to Dongli King with a vicious face. At this moment, his face is full of hatred. When Prince Cheng returns, he finds out that he has also fallen into Luo Qingtong's trap. He thought he wouldn't be poisoned by Luo Qingtong's unknown poison on the platform. However, he did not expect that when he returned to his residence, he would be yelled at as soon as he tried to circulate his energy. This Luo Qingtong is really vicious. That day in the 3-army camp, only she and the people she took away will be fine. The other party is vicious to this extent. This made Prince Cheng, who previously thought that Luo Qingtong was not enough to support the Luo family, shudder in his heart. Fortunately, Luo Qingtong's strength is average. Because of the broken engagement, she offended the royal family of Tianyu. The whole Luo family is worried. This is not their family against them. Luo Qingtong did those things. No matter how arrogant she is, what can she do? It can only alleviate the Luo family's predicament for a while until the royal family of Tianyu makes a move. They can only wait for bad luck. Prince Cheng hates Luo Qingtong in his heart, but on the surface, he tries to hide it so that Dongli King won't see it. Your Majesty, this is a rare opportunity. Are you stupid or am I stupid? Before the royal family of Tianyu says anything, you dare to touch her? Don't forget, Yu Wenma will marry no one but her. Dongli King scolds. This is what he and the other people who want to hit the Luo family when they are down are most afraid of. Even the Emperor of Tianyu can't win against Yu Wenma. He would rather be slapped in the face than break the engagement with the Luo family. Do they really dare to touch Luo Qingtong? If not for this, he would have 10,000 reasons to destroy her and the Luo family just based on Luo Qingtong's action of crippling the 3 armies. How can they bear such humiliation? But, Qinglu Wangye's face was full of unwillingness. Dongli King ignored him and asked his servant, is it certain that the news has reached the imperial family of Tianyu? Yes. Furthermore, it was passed to the 7th princess. The attendant replied. Very good. King Dongli nodded with satisfaction. Luo Qingtong, oh Luo Qingtong. don't be so arrogant. How dare you embarrass the royal family? How much courage do you think you have? When Tianyu's royal family makes a move, let's see if you can still be so arrogant. King Dongli's face was cold. If it weren't for Luo Qingtong, the Eastern Fence 3 armies would have become his trump card. The Luo family was about to fall, but Luo Qingtong was still so insensible. Then don't blame him for being ruthless. Originally, he only wanted the 3 armies of the Eastern Fence line. But Luo Qingtong forced him to destroy the entire Luo clan. At that time, without his backing and being disliked by Tianyu's royal family, he would like to see how miserable Luo Qingtong would be. At that time, even if she cried and knelt in front of him, no one would look at her. Humph. While King Dongli was calculating, Yuan Shui also received news from Dongli country. With one look, he was instantly enraged. What kind of trash is this? They can't even deal with the Luo clan? What a bunch of shit-eating rice buckets. Yuan Shui's chest heaved with anger. Before, she gave the idea to the Empress of Tianyu to have Dongli deal with the Luo clan. She thought it would be foolproof and wouldn't involve Tianyu's royal family. Who would have thought that these people would be refuted by Luo Qingtong? This was simply infuriating. Chapter 338. Mother. Tianyu Imperial Palace. 7th Princess Yuan Shui rushed to the Tianyu Empress residence with a group of servants. The latter had just woken up from her afternoon nap and was being served by servants. Seeing Yuan Shui rush in from outside, she immediately frowned and scolded, "Look at you, what kind of person are you? Do you want to be grounded by your father again?" Mother. Yuan Shui reluctantly slowed down and walked to the front of the Tianyu Empress with an aggrieved expression. "What's the matter? What's made you so anxious?" The Tianyu Empress looked at her. "Isn't it because of that?" Yuan Shui was about to blurt out when she saw the servants by her mother's side and stopped. "Enough, you can leave. I don't need you to serve me here." Seeing her like this, the Tianyu Empress dismissed the servants by her side, leaving only 2 of her trusted aides to serve her. "All right, go ahead and say it. What's going on now?" The Tianyu Empress rubbed her forehead and looked at Yuan Shui. "It's all because of that Luo Qingtong." Yuan Shui pouted, "Mother, look, this is news from Dongli's royal family. We said we were going to teach the Luo clan and that old man Luo a lesson and make them regret breaking off the engagement, but look. Luo Qingtong messed everything up." Yuan Shui showed the Tianyu Empress the news from Dongli's royal family. "Mother, we can't let the Luo clan and Luo Qingtong off so easily. Look at her, she's too arrogant. On one hand, she wants to break off the engagement with us, but on the other, she's using her status as Tianyu's future 5th prince's wife to act so arrogantly outside. Look, this is too much of a slap to our royal family's face. Who does Luo Qingtong think she is? Mother, we can't let this go. Otherwise, Luo Qingtong will think that our royal family is willing to compromise and only wants her. She'll climb all over us. She might even think that my royal brother isn't good enough for her. She wouldn't dare." Yuan Shui's words hit the point that Empress Tianyu cared about the most. Tianyu Empress was most proud of the fact that she had given birth to Yuan Amo, a proud son of heaven. The Empire of Qin's Sacred Academy had defeated many geniuses from other empires, and even many geniuses from the Empire of Qin's Sacred Dynasty were no match for him. They were all willing to work for him. It was said that Yuan Mo's development in the Holy Court of the Empire of Qin was extremely good. He had already gained a foothold among the heaven-rank candidates and was highly regarded by the teachers of the Holy Court. Every time the Empress of Tianyu gathered with the noble ladies, she would brag about her son and enjoy the admiration of everyone. How could he tolerate Yuan Shui saying that Yuan Mo wasn't worthy of Luo Qingtong? In her opinion, Luo Qingtong was the one who was clinging on to her son.
If not for that engagement back then, coupled with Yuan Ma's resolute refusal to break off the engagement and give up on Luo Qingtong, how could the other party be able to secure the position of the future 5th prince's wife? How many people wanted to marry her son? Even with that person's status, she still favored Yuan Mo. Luo Qingtong had caused her son to be unable to have a meteoric rise, and now she was slapping her royal family's face again and again. Who gave her the guts? In an instant, the Empress of Tianyu was enraged by Yuan Shui's words.
Chapter 339. She's really shameless. She incited her grandfather to break off the engagement and disregarded our imperial family's dignity. She even dares to use our imperial family's prestige to act arrogantly. Send a message to Dongli's imperial family. Tianyu's imperial family doesn't care about the Luo clan. As long as Luo Qingtong doesn't die, they can do whatever they want with the Luo clan. It doesn't matter if they're destroyed. Forget it. Yuan Shui curled her lips. Imperial mother, you didn't see it clearly. Those trash from Dongli's imperial family were crippled by Luo Qingtong. She even brought a group of people back to the Luo clan to form a private army. Now, if you let them attack the Luo clan, I don't know if they can win. They might be destroyed by the Luo clan instead. Speaking of this, Yuan Shui felt uncomfortable. Luo Qingtong was too lucky. Even without grandfather Luo, the Luo clan still had so many trump cards to protect her. Where did the poison that crippled the Luo clan's army come from? Most likely, her mother left it for her. Thinking of this, Yuan Shui felt resentful. Even as a princess of the royal family, she did not enjoy the treatment of being surrounded like Luo Qingtong. Her grandfather doted on her, her parents loved her, and she had so many trump cards. Her imperial brother still insisted on marrying her. She gained such a powerful backer for no reason. Even if the Luo clan was no longer glorious, they could still act arrogantly. Thinking of this, she felt unconvinced. How could the legitimate daughter of a marquis of a small inferior country have a better life than her, an imperial princess? She was going to destroy everything she had. If it wasn't for Luo Qingtong, her imperial brother would have agreed to that person's condition. She could have been treated as a princess of a holy dynasty and lived prouder than any other imperial princess. It was all Luo Qingtong's fault. Yuan Shui didn't dare to blame Yuan Ma. Naturally, she vented all her anger on Luo Qingtong and the Luo clan. Imperial mother, how about this? We secretly send out a group of savage tiger guards to disguise themselves as bandits and directly destroy the Luo clan. Yuan Shui shook the empress's arm. Imperial mother, look at those people from Dongli. They're trash from a small inferior country. What can they do? Don't send them to Luo Qingtong again and increase the Luo clan's prestige. Imperial mother, if we do this, then it'll be more and more difficult to deal with Luo Qingtong. After all, although old Master Luo has fallen, the Luo family has not. Now, she has the Luo family's iron army. In the future, she'll really give us a look's face. Especially Imperial brother won't. Yuan Shui's mother. Imperial mother, we have to take this opportunity to knock down her arrogance. Let her know that even if Imperial brother doesn't want to marry anyone but her, she is nothing in front of us. Imperial mother. Yuan Shui shook Empress Tianyu's hand and said coquettishly, look at what I did to her. She must hate me. She might even hate our imperial family. When? Moved by Yuan Shui's words, the empress's expression turned cold. But she still had a bit of reason in her heart. Go find your uncle for this matter. You must do it in secret. Don't let anyone know. Our Tianyu imperial family can't afford to lose that much face. Especially your imperial brother. He can't bear such a heavy scandal. Do you hear me? Tell them to do it cleanly. When the time comes, have the Dongli imperial family cooperate. Yes. Yuan Shui jumped up in joy. I'll go find my uncle now. Imperial mother, don't worry. I'll definitely do it properly. Chapter 340. 9 Magi Mountain. Luo Qingtong shook off a bunch of people who were following her in the dark and easily found the valley where old monster Yin Chi had captured her. Master. Seeing Luo Qingtong appear, the martial king experts who were guarding the valley all greeted her. Yes. Luo Qingtong responded in a low voice and scanned the surroundings. She found that this place had been built very well by the martial king experts. This secluded valley had already become a small base of power. In the future, this place would be the prototype of the Luo family's secret power. It would also be the starting point of her future power. This place will be called Heavenly Evil Valley from now on. Under the Heavenly Tao, I am evil. Luo Qingtong liked the meaning of this name very much. Yes. The crowd nodded in agreement. They had no objections to the name Luo Qingtong came up with. Although the name Luo Qingtong came up with was obviously not righteous, they were not righteous people in the first place. Where is the storehouse? Take me there. Yes. The crowd dispersed. A martial king expert stepped forward and said to Luo Qingtong, Master, this way please. Yes. Luo Qingtong followed him to a storehouse that had been transformed into a cave. These martial king experts were very good at choosing places. Although the entrance of this storehouse looked narrow, it was a stone cave that had almost hollowed out a small mountain. Luo Qingtong walked in and immediately saw a completely different world. Yes. This place is very good. This storehouse was very hidden. Luo Qingtong only needed to casually set up some formations inside and it was enough to make it impossible for anyone to come out. If there was an emergency and it could not be stopped, then she could directly destroy the entire mountain. In this way, unless the opponent was a martial emperor or above, they would not be able to escape from the depths of the mountain when the mountain collapsed. You guys move aside first. Luo Qingtong said to the martial king experts who followed her. These people had already recognized her as their master and there was no need to doubt their loyalty. Luo Qingtong naturally would not deliberately hide the information about the Tianyu imperial treasury from them. On the contrary, a suitable deterrent could give them confidence. Luo Qingtong now needed these people as her right-hand men. She did not want them to become loyal walking corpses. Yes. The crowd obeyed and retreated. Luo Qingtong took out a few useless rings from her bosom and threw two to Little Pig. Then, she released the rest. Boom! Almost in the blink of an eye, countless resources and rare treasures suddenly appeared in this storehouse built from a natural karst cave. Heavens! The crowd couldn't help but be blinded by the appearance of Luo Qingtong's eyes. Everyone squinted their eyes as they stared at the treasures in front of them that were emitting countless rays of light. They were so shocked that their jaws dropped. Mistress, this is... Even though these martial king experts were strong enough to establish a small country or even become a distinguished guest of an intermediate country, they were still shocked. They had never seen so many treasures and resources. Almost every one of these treasures was of a higher quality than the treasures they had seen before. After all, they were martial king experts. The treasures they used were incomparably powerful. But at this moment, in front of this cave full of treasures, the treasures they owned were completely overshadowed. There were many things inside that even a martial emperor-level expert might not be able to possess. More importantly, they looked at the rings in Luo Qingtong's hands. That was a Sumeru spatial spiritual artifact? Heavens! The group of people almost couldn't stand still. A martial king expert even supported himself on the wall beside him. Chapter 341. Luo Qingtong's voice rang out. You can choose any one of these items. This is your reward for following me. Also. As she spoke, she tossed the storage rings in her hand to them. Take these storage rings as well. Don't show them to anyone. There are many resources in the 9 Magi Mountain. You can take them all. With these few martial king realm experts, they could do whatever they wanted in the 9 Magi Mountain, except for some of the more dangerous forbidden areas. With these storage rings, they could take whatever resources they wanted in the 9 Magi Mountain. Luo Qingtong wanted to turn the 9 Magi Mountain into her personal treasure trove of resources. In the future, when the Luo family's iron army had fully recovered, or even reached a higher level, Luo Qingtong would bring them to the 9 Magi Mountain for training. In the future, the resources of the Luo family and the Heavenly Evil Valley would all be provided by the 9 Magi Mountain. They would no longer need to depend on others. Luo Qingtong's eyes turned cold at the thought of how old Master Luo had been mocked and ridiculed every time he went to the Tianyu Empire to buy resources for the Eastern Fence Army. If not for that, she would not have been so cruel to the Eastern Fence Army. Those people had really let down old Master Luo's previous efforts. Adding insult to injury, being ungrateful. All of these were enough for Luo Qingtong to torture them to death. Since they did not want to be humans and only wanted to be dogs, then they would be useless dogs. Moss. Master. All of these were given to them. The group of Martial King realm experts almost thought that they had heard wrongly. Master said that they could choose any one of these treasures. She even said that she would give all of these Sumeraspace spiritual weapons to them. The group of people took the storage rings that Luo Qingtong tossed to them in shock. Was this real? Was this a dream? The group of people imprinted their mental strength on the storage rings as if they were sleepwalking. Then, they were shocked by the space of a few hundred square meters. This was a Sumeraspace ring? They stared at the storage rings in their hands as if they had seen a ghost. Such a huge Sumeraspace ring? If any one of these rings were to spread, it would cause an incomparably huge wave. Now, the few of them, each had one. No matter how strong and calm they were, they couldn't help but pinch their own thighs. After that, they were shocked to discover that it was actually true. Oh my God. Normally, these Martial King realm experts would not be able to come into contact with Sumeraspacial spiritual tools. But Luo Qingtong gave them such a precious Sumeraspacial spiritual tool. Master, what was her background? And these treasures, the group of Martial King realm experts looked at the rings in their hands, and then looked at the treasures in the cave. In their hearts, they were even more in awe of Luo Qingtong. Master, don't worry, we will definitely protect these rings. Even if we lose our lives, this Sumeraspacial spirit artifact will not be lost. A Martial King expert said with a trembling voice. He held the ring as if it was a rare treasure. Oh. That's not necessary. Luo Qingtong's voice was indifferent. If you accidentally expose yourself and are targeted by others, you can destroy this storage ring. Returning safely is more important. Chapter 342. To Luo Qingtong, these storage rings were nothing more than scraps left over from Tian Mingzi's previous refinement. Little Pig still had a lot of them. More importantly, she would definitely practice the inscription technique in the future. As such, these storage rings were naturally not that important. However, she still had too few experts under her command. It would be best if these Martial King experts did not die. As for the storage rings, it was no big deal if they were destroyed. Just as Little Pig had said, these items might be rare treasures and priceless in the eyes of others. However, to her, they were nothing more than scraps that were slightly useful. Luo Qingtong was more interested in the real Sumeraspacial spiritual tool that Little Pig had described. As for these scraps, she did not really care about them. Mistress, the group of Martial King experts were indescribably moved. Who would dare to say that their lives were more important than these priceless storage rings? Their mistress truly valued and cherished them too much. If they had pledged their loyalty to Luo Qingtong in the past, it was partly because they were forced to acknowledge Luo Qingtong as their mistress, and partly because of Luo Qingtong's strange methods and extraordinary abilities. But now, they were sincerely submitting to her from the bottom of their hearts. They were willing to do anything for Luo Qingtong until she no longer needed them. We are willing to die for mistress. The group of people suddenly knelt on the ground. Luo Qingtong replied in a low voice. She then waved her sleeve and said, "That's enough. There's no need to say such sentimental words. Pick one item from here." I will prepare to seal the treasury. Luo Qingtong naturally had to separate the inner and outer vaults like the royal treasury in this huge cave vault. The outer vault stored the resources from the 9 Shamans Mountain, while the inner vault stored the resources from the imperial treasury. Not interfering with each other could also serve as a cover. In the future, only Luo Qingtong could enter the inner vault. Yes. The group of people calmed down and excitedly rushed into the cave. They began to pick out what they wanted from the pile of items. After they had all finished choosing and left, Luo Qingtong raised her hand and directly sealed the treasury. Layers and layers of array lights lit up. Luo Qingtong used the treasures in the royal treasury as array cores and set up layers and layers of arrays. Compared to the overlapping and independent formations she had set up, the formations and mechanisms in the Tianyu royal treasury were child's play. The formations that Luo Qingtong had laid down were almost double-stacked formations, even triple-stacked formations and quadruple-stacked formations. These were all formations within formations, layer upon layer, extremely difficult to solve. If it weren't for the limited space in the cave and the fact that the reiki of the treasures in the royal treasury could only support up to the 5th layer, Luo Qingtong could continue to stack up. For someone like her who possessed the eye technique, the problems that plagued spirit array masters and the balance of spirit arrays did not exist at all. She could always find the most appropriate point. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. After sealing the treasury, Luo Qingtong began to take inventory of the items inside. She wanted to see if there were any antidotes she needed. After all, even though the antidotes were hard to find, the treasury of the Tianyu royal family had been here for nearly 1,000 years. Perhaps she could find them. Chapter 343. Bang! Dongli Country, Windgaze City. In a secluded room in the corner of the Tianyu branch of the Empire of Qin, Luo Xinning swept the things in her hands to the ground. Luo Qingtong. Why? Why are you always so lucky? Luo Qingtong's face was ferocious. Under the scattered veil, there was a wound that looked like it was torn by a ferocious beast, from her left cheek to her right cheek. Under such circumstances, it was completely destroyed by Luo Xinning's beautiful face. Her face was twisted with anger, like that of a ferocious ghost. Looking at the scar on her face in the mirror, Luo Xinning was even angrier. This scar was caused by the encounter with a ferocious beast after she was rescued by the imperial family of Tianyu. Originally, Luo Xinning had taken the healing medicine brought by the imperial family of Tianyu, and her injuries were already healed. It was impossible for her to not be able to fight back against the rank 3 ferocious beast. But inexplicably, just as she was about to dodge, the power in her body suddenly stagnated and disappeared in an instant. Although she recovered quickly, how could she be distracted in a battle? Not to mention that all her power had disappeared. She could not resist at all and was sent flying by the brown earth bear. Half of her face was smashed. Even though she had taken the medicine in time, it still left a deep scar. Touching the scar on her face, Luo Xinning's heart was filled with hatred. She always showed that she was not inferior to Luo Qingtong, but in reality, other than her talent and strength being stronger than Luo Qingtong, she was really not as good as Luo Qingtong in other aspects. Even the face that she was originally proud of had been destroyed. And Luo Qingtong, she thought that the Luo family would fall this time, and Luo Qingtong would become a pitiful person without the family's protection. But now? The new Luo residence that she was so proud of was completely destroyed by Luo Qingtong. Not only that, her carefully planned plan with the imperial family of Tianyu to take over the army was completely destroyed. Not only was the army destroyed, but Luo Qingtong also took some people to the Luo family to build a private army. Everything made Luo Xianning angry and frustrated. She had schemed so much and even ordered her father to drug the old man and make him lose his cultivation, but she still could not defeat the entire Luo family and Luo Qingtong. That woman, why did she have a better life than him? Why did she get everything because they were both daughters of the Luo family? Even God was on her side? Old Luo's father trusted her so much that he gave her the Luo family's trump card. Or else, she would not have lost so badly. At the thought of this, Luo Xinning felt as though her heart was being bitten by countless ants. That strong feeling of unwillingness and resentment almost overwhelmed her. But what she hated the most was that she could not do anything to Luo Qingtong. Even the only hope that the imperial family of Dongli could defeat the Luo family disappeared with the news of the army. Luo Qingtong had so easily crushed everything that she had spent so much effort to obtain into powder. Just as Luo Xinning was filled with hatred, a carrier pigeon landed in front of her window. After reading the letter, Luo Xinning was overjoyed. Chapter 344. Luo Xinning's smile was cold. The royal family of Tianyu had finally made a move. Or rather, the 7th princess and the empress had finally made a move. It was an elite troop of tiger guards, consisting of hundreds of people. They were all above the general realm, and many of them were in the martial lord realm. The leader was the younger brother of the empress of Tianyu, King Xiaowu of Fiji. He was the young genius of the Fei family and the pride of the Fei family. He was at the peak of the martial king realm. It was said that he would soon reach the martial royal realm. It was like using a butcher's knife to kill a chicken for such a troop to deal with a marquis mansion of an inferior country. How could the Luo family survive? Humph. Luo Qingtong, this is what you get for being so arrogant. Luo Xinning sneered. The power of the empire of Tianyu was not something that ordinary countries could compare with. For example, a troop of tiger guards from the empire of Tianyu was enough to wipe out the small and middle countries. Even the superior countries had to avoid them. What could Luo Qingtong and the Luo family use to fight against them? Her identity as the future 5th prince's wife was nothing in front of these Mang tiger guards. Luo Qingtong, after I strip you of your identity as the 5th prince's wife, what do you have left? I'll wait for you to suffer so much that you wish you were dead. Luo Xanning said with a sinister smile on her face. She read the contents of the letter again and sneered, bandits? Luo Qingtong, how about I turn the show into a reality for you? You escaped death on the 9 Magi Mountain. You won't be so lucky this time. Luo Xinning sneered and threw the other letter in her hand. At the same time, an attendant rushed in from the outside of Dongli Palace. Your Majesty, great news. The royal family of Tianyu has replied. He wants us to be prepared. Tianyu's royal family has already sent out a group of savage tiger guards. When the time comes, they'll quietly kill the Luo clan. Other than Luo Qingtong, the Luo family will be wiped out. Good. King Dong Li's gloomy face finally brightened up after reading the letter from his close attendant. Immediately send people to the meeting point and provide them with all the convenience. We've been waiting for them for so long, so get ready to attack. Dong Li King wanted to eradicate the Luo family for a long time. But because of the marriage agreement between the other party and the royal family of Tianyu, no matter how impatient he was, he could only endure it. Who would have thought that grandfather Luo would be so foolish as to offend the royal family of Tianyu and cancel the engagement for the sake of his beloved granddaughter? He had given them a chance to uproot them for no reason. As long as the Luo family was eradicated, no one in the Eastern Fence Nation would be able to stop him from carrying out his orders. Even without the Eastern Border Army, the Eastern Border royal family would still be the strongest ruler of the Eastern Border country. He no longer had the disgusting Luo family to constantly suppress him and make him feel helpless. King Dongli had been waiting for this day for a long time. While Luo Xinning and Dongli King were busy, Luo Qingtong had found 7 antidotes. Here they are. Luo Qingtong looked at the 7 antidotes in her hand and smiled. The treasury of the royal family of Tianyu was indeed a 1,000-year-old treasure. She had found all 7 antidotes in one go, and there were even more. What's this? Chapter 345. There was a letter in the brocade box where the heaven and earth dragon soul herb was placed. Luo Qingtong remembered the strange old man who gave her the heaven and earth dragon soul herb. Did he give it to her? Thinking of the strange words he said to her before he left, Luo Qingtong opened the letter curiously. She opened her eyes wide when she saw what she saw. A purple name card appeared in front of Luo Qingtong. The words, Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin, were especially large on it. Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin? Is this a letter of recommendation? Luo Qingtong turned over the purple name card and found nothing on it except for the words, Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin. But the material of the name card seemed to be very special. Luo Qingtong poured her strength into it and found that she couldn't destroy it. Why did the old man give me a letter of recommendation from the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin? Luo Qingtong looked at the purple name card and found it funny. She thought it was something special. She didn't expect it to be a letter of recommendation from the Holy Academy. However, this recommendation letter seemed to be different from the one that the original owner had received before. Luo Qingtong looked at the purple letter of recommendation from the Holy Academy. She could enter the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin by herself. She didn't need this at all. But, maybe this thing could be used for an unexpected purpose? Luo Qingtong thought. Suddenly, an idea came to her mind. The corners of her lips curled up slightly as she put away the purple name card. Let's make elixirs first. Luo Qingtong's treatment was about to be finished. Then she needed to improve her strength quickly. For people who had abandoned their cultivation and started over again, their experience and comprehension were still there. As long as they had enough strength in their body, they could continue to improve and recover their previous strength. At that time, it would be up to them to make further breakthroughs. The medicinal pills that Luo Qingtong wanted to prepare this time could not be replaced by medicinal liquid. Compared to medicinal liquids, after medicinal herbs were refined into pills, their medicinal properties were preserved more completely, and the medicinal properties were condensed more firmly. More importantly, alchemy could draw on the power of the heavens and the earth, and under the support of that power, the effect of the pill would undergo a great change. Luo Qingtong's dough technique could completely remove the impurities in the medicinal liquid, achieving the 100% medicinal effect that only medicinal pills could achieve. However, the medicinal liquid wouldn't undergo any changes like medicinal pills. Alchemy and medicine refinement were two completely different things. Only after refining medicine to the extreme would one begin to concoct pills. It could be said that the end point of an alchemist was the starting point of an alchemist. Luo Qingtong's eye technique allowed her to completely ignore this step and directly start refining pills. This was an advantage that others could not compare to. Half a tael of sunflower wood, 3 taels of oblivion sea flower. Luo Qingtong added the medicinal herbs according to the formula. What she wanted to refine for Luo Qingtong and the others were the essence increasing pill and the enlightenment spirit pill. If these two pills were taken together, they would be able to restore Luo Qingtong and the others' wasted cultivation as soon as possible, allowing them to return to their peak. Luo Qingtong wouldn't allow Luo Qingtong and the others to spend another few dozen years slowly cultivating their strength. These two elixirs were created by Luo Qingtong based on the situation of Old Master Luo and the rest. There were no rare alchemy recipes or manuals in the true Spill continent. Everything depended on Luo Qingtong's own exploration. Fortunately, she had her dough technique. As long as she used the right medicine, there shouldn't be a problem. Little Pig stared dumbfoundedly at Luo Qingtong, who was busy adding the herbs and controlling the fire. He was so shocked. This woman was actually refining pills. Alchemy. What couldn't she do? Chapter 346. Bang! The triangular furnace in front of Luo Qingtong was blown to smithereens. A boundless energy rushed out from the furnace. If it weren't for Luo Qingtong and Little Pig running fast, they would have been caught in the blast. Haha. Looking at the shattered cauldron, Little Pig was finally satisfied. So there are things you don't know. I thought you really knew everything. Little Pig laughed mischievously. Then I'm a monster. Luo Qingtong rolled her eyes at Little Pig. What's so great about it? She would soon find out. At the moment of the explosion, Luo Qingtong's eye technique quickly saw the changes in the fusion between the medicinal properties and the world's power. She saw where she failed. She would remember to avoid this place later. However, alchemy was really magical. Compared to alchemy, it was a completely different experience. The fusion between the medicinal properties and the world's power was simply ever-changing. If the medicinal properties were just a little bit off, or if the medicinal properties were just a little bit off, there would immediately be a mutation. Luo Qingtong was in high spirits. This world was really worth exploring. The alchemy books she had memorized in her previous life actually came in handy. It was really incredible. TSK. There's only one furnace left. Luo Qingtong frowned as she looked at the room that was full of holes because of her explosion. The furnace she used for alchemy was taken from the royal treasury of Tianyu's royal family. There was almost no alchemist in true Spill continent. Those furnaces were mostly used as decorations. Tianyu's royal family also collected some, and most of them were rare treasures. At this moment, Luo Qingtong's left and right were about to explode. It seemed that she would have to buy more furnaces as backup. It would be best if she could buy a high-quality furnace. It would be great if she could find a furnace that specialized in alchemy. Luo Qingtong thought as she continued. After several experiments, she had found a way. She didn't dare to say anything about the other pills, but for these 2 pills, she was already 80% sure that she could refine them. While Luo Qingtong was refining pills in the heavenly evil valley, outside Easternly Nation's Windgaze City, a group of people traveled day and night and finally arrived at a dense forest outside Windgaze City. His Majesty has sent me to receive you. This must be King Xiaowu, right? King Xiaowu was indeed a man of striking appearance. With King Xiaowu's help, the Luo clan will definitely be wiped out this time. The personal attendant sent by King Dongli said with a flattering smile. As the Empress's maternal family, the Fei family had great influence in the Tianyu Empire. The man in front of her was the only brother of Empress Tianyu and was highly valued by the Fei clan. If he could become a martial emperor in the future, his future would be limitless. Even the emperor of Tianyu thought highly of Fiji. Cut the crap. When are we going to attack? Fiji's voice was cold. His face was hidden under the armor and could not be seen clearly. However, his tone was extremely impatient. A dignified peak martial king was sent to deal with the marquis of a small inferior country. If it wasn't for his sister's request, he would never have taken action. The Luo clan was not worthy of him taking action. It was truly a stain on his hands. As for the people of Easternly Nation, he didn't even bother to look at them. These people didn't even have the qualifications to stand in front of him. King Xiaowu, please wait a moment. My Majesty is making the arrangements. We will attack tonight. At that time, the gates of Windgaze City will be open and the aristocratic families, armies, and even the royal family will be restrained. King Xiaowu can go on a killing spree. No one will stop you. Chapter 347. Tonight at midnight? Fiji raised his head and glanced at the servant. He scoffed at the Dongli royal family's intentions. If he remembered correctly, the Tianyu branch of the Empire of Qin would be recruiting students in 2 days. Were they afraid that something would happen and the Luo family would be protected by the Tianyu branch? Was that why they wanted to act first? Indeed, if Luo Qingtong really became a student of the Tianyu branch, the Luo family wouldn't be easy to deal with. What's more, they were acting in secret. Therefore, even though Fiji saw through the Dongli royal family's intentions, he didn't say anything. Tonight is the time of the Z period. The sooner they acted, the better. It would save them the trouble of waiting. He raised his hand and waved, and the eunuch tactfully retreated. King Xiaowu wasn't someone they could casually interact with. Furthermore, he obviously wasn't interested in talking to them, so they couldn't disturb him. At the same time, in the heavenly evil valley, Luo Qingtong opened her eyes and looked at the pile of herbs in the cauldron. She was extremely focused. A large amount of the power of heaven and earth was guided into the cauldron and fused with the medicinal power. This process was called medicinal fusion. The next step was to fuse the pills. Luo Qingtong had failed several times in the past. The power of heaven and earth would react violently with the medicinal power, causing the medicinal power to mutate instantly. It would have a completely different effect from the previous herbs. If one had to accurately describe this process, it was like those chemical experiments where two different substances were mixed together to form a completely new and different substance. However, the synthesis of substances in chemical experiments was controllable, but alchemy was completely uncontrollable. If the power of heaven and earth was introduced into the same herbs, the pill would be ruined if the timing was slightly wrong. Even the most experienced alchemist couldn't produce a 100% success rate. This was because each herb contained a different amount of medicinal power. When they fused together, the mixed medicinal power would be different. Furthermore, the power of heaven and earth was introduced into the fusion. It was basically impossible to predict the most crucial point. When was the best time to fuse the pills? But now, Luo Qingtong wanted to break this rule. The light in her eyes was constantly focused on the ball of medicinal power that was violently fusing with the power of heaven and earth to produce a mutation. Countless numbers floated up and down, flashing past her eyes. The next second, rise. Following her low shout, the ball of medicinal power suddenly combined into one. At the same time, the power of heaven and earth that was pouring into the cauldron was also cut off. Whoosh! At this moment, a thick pill aroma filled the air. Success! Luo Qingtong looked at this scene with a smile. After several failures, she finally grasped the most optimal value of the mixture of medicinal power and heaven and earth energy, which was also the key point of forming the pill. From now on, she would never fail to refine these two pills. No way. Did you really succeed? Little Pig widened his eyes at the side. What a freak. What a freak. Previously, it had rejoiced in Luo Qingtong's furnace explosion, thinking that there was finally something in this world that she couldn't do. But then, it realized that this woman was really crazy. She actually refined two types of pills at the same time. Who the hell dares to refine two types of pills at the same time on their first try? It would be strange if the cauldron didn't explode. Forget about it. How long has it been? She actually succeeded in refining it? She's refining two types of pills at the same time. Even an alchemy master wouldn't dare to do this. Chapter 348. Rumble. Between the heavens and the earth, countless winds and clouds gathered towards the 9 Shaman Mountain. F***CK. It can't be, right? She awakened the pill spirit on her first try. Little Pig really admired Luo Qingtong from the bottom of his heart when he sensed the gathering of auras outside. Refining pills was completely different from refining pills. When refining pills, no matter how hard one tried to fuse them, the medicinal properties would fuse with each other. It was impossible to trigger the energy of heaven and earth, let alone cause any changes. More importantly, refining pills was similar to cultivation. It would attract the interference of the laws of heaven and earth. Because refining pills involved the changes of the laws of heaven and earth, some pills would even develop their own consciousness due to the high grade of the materials used to refine them. At that time, it would attract the interference of the heavens. Cultivation was a path that defied the heavens. Refining pills was the same. The higher the grade of the pill, the greater the obstruction it would face from the heavens. Little Pig really didn't expect that Luo Qingtong's first attempt at refining pills would attract the interference of the heavens. This was the kind of treatment that could only be received by a pill that had its spirit awakened. Generally, the pills refined by alchemists were only of common grade. After mixing the medicinal properties with the energy of heaven and earth, it would be considered good if they could retain 20 to 30% of the medicinal properties. Only 50 to 60% of the medicinal properties would attract the interference of the heavens. 70 to 80% of the medicinal properties would attract a heaven and earth phenomenon. Just as Little Pig was thinking about this, countless phoenixes and dragons' cries could be heard outside. Under the backdrop of the stormy clouds, the sky was filled with dazzling multicolored light. F***CK, F***CK, F***CK. Little Pig was dumbfounded. He didn't know what to say. A heaven and earth phenomenon. And it was the highest grade pill, dragon and phoenix auspicious. The medicinal pills refined by this woman, just what level had the medicinal strength of the pills retained? Could she be any more perverted? Little Pig felt his stomach ache. This was the first time he saw someone using such low-grade medicinal materials to refine a pill that attracted the interference of the heavens and heaven and earth phenomenon. Luo Qingtong ignored him. Rumble. Wind and thunder rumbled outside, and the cries of dragons and phoenixes resounded. She suddenly felt that the pill in her cauldron had suddenly changed, and the value of the pill's potency skyrocketed. In the next second, swish. The lid of the cauldron was suddenly opened, and a few pills rushed out of it. Crack. Following the appearance of those medicinal pellets, several bolts of lightning as thick as an arm descended from the sky and struck those medicinal pellets. The cave Luo Qingtong was in was completely split open. The lightning bolts struck towards the pills. Stop them. Little Pig panicked when he saw this scene. They're here to destroy these pills. Also, be careful, these medicinal pills will run away. How could Little Pig have imagined that Luo Qingtong could actually use such low-grade ingredients to refine a spirit-opening pill? It was simply inconceivable. This pill definitely surpassed the category of common grade. He didn't know how Luo Qingtong did it. But in the next second, it regretted saying the wrong thing. Damn, this is the heavenly law. It actually asked Luo Qingtong to stop them. This wasn't before it was sealed. Hey, hey, hey. I was wrong, I was wrong. Come back quickly, don't stop them. Little Pig stomped his hooves and shouted anxiously. He also rushed out with a swish. At this time, Luo Qingtong had already arrived in front of those medicinal pellets. With a swish, she raised her hand and grabbed those medicinal pellets. Then, she raised her head and faced the lightning bolts. She could feel the vast and powerful energy coming from the lightning bolts. It was even stronger than the energy of the Sage Realm experts she had felt before. Luo Qingtong cursed Little Pig 800 times in her heart. Fortunately, Little Pig also rushed over at this time and shouted at her, "Throw away those medicinal pellets in your hand." Chapter 349. She felt waves of energy coming from the life and death sword in her mind. It seemed like it wanted to come out. Luo Qingtong sensed the energy waves and found that it was indeed restless. It was targeting the heavenly Tao's energy. Luo Qingtong thought for a moment and raised her hand to release it. Swoosh! The life and death sword instantly shone brightly with black and white light. Luo Qingtong held the sword and slashed at the lightning that was striking down from the sky. F***CK. Don't. Little Pig's eyes widened when he saw this scene. Even if this woman wants to die, she shouldn't do it like this. The heavenly Tao's energy was not something she could contend against. Don't be so stubborn at a time like this. Little Pig had to hand it to Luo Qingtong. Seeing her rushing towards the lightning bolts, Little Pig felt an indescribable pain in his heart. Let's fight. What sin have I committed to have met such a perverted master who doesn't play by the rules? Since Luo Qingtong would die if she died, Little Pig rushed towards Luo Qingtong without any hesitation. As he rushed, his small body emitted a faint light. However, before it could reach Luo Qingtong was stunned. Kacha! The lightning bolts that carried boundless power were instantly cut in half by Luo Qingtong's sword. In the next second, they disappeared under everyone's shocked gazes. That's right, they disappeared. Everyone was dumbfounded by this scene. Little Pig had just arrived in front of Luo Qingtong, and before he could use his trump card, he saw that everything was over. Luo Qingtong floated to the ground. Rumble. The dark clouds in the sky rolled. After the lightning bolts were scattered, they also disappeared. In the blink of an eye, the sky was restored to its previous clear and bright state. Master. The experts, who had been stunned for a long time, finally regained their senses and hurriedly rushed towards Luo Qingtong. They still didn't know what had happened. She only saw the lightning strike towards her master, and then it was smashed into pieces by her master's backhand. That was heavenly thunder and lightning. The group of people looked at Luo Qingtong with shock and awe. They did not know the true power of the lightning, nor did they know that it was not something that ordinary people could resist. His master's ability was truly unfathomable. Little Pig was the most shocked of all. It rubbed its eyes with its hooves and blinked hard to make sure it wasn't dreaming. *CK, it stared dumbfoundedly at Luo Qingtong, who was completely unscathed. It didn't know what to say. How could she resist the power of the heavenly law? Was this woman trying to ascend to heaven? However, only Luo Qingtong knew that those lightning bolts were not destroyed by her. Instead, they were absorbed by the life and death dual right sword in her hand. Luo Qingtong lowered her head and looked at the black and white sword in her hand. For the first time, she had a strong interest in this treasure that Tianmingzi gave her. She looked at the flowing inscription patterns on the sword. The power of those lightning bolts was obviously absorbed by these inscription patterns. Interesting, divine inscriptions? Luo Qingtong looked at these inscription patterns thoughtfully and put away the life and death dual right sword. Chapter 350. How much do you know about inscriptions? Luo Qingtong looked at Little Pig and asked. After this experience, Luo Qingtong was obviously more interested in inscriptions. The inscriptions on the life and death sword could absorb heavenly energy to replenish itself. Moreover, this was an incomplete inscription. If the inscriptions were complete, how powerful would the life and death sword be? Luo Qingtong was very excited about this. Was it because of that sword that you shattered those lightning bolts? Little Pig immediately reacted when he heard Luo Qingtong's question. How could this woman be so powerful? She could even shatter heavenly energy in a matter of minutes. Then she would truly be a monster. So it was because of that sword. Yes. Luo Qingtong nodded. It absorbed those lightning bolts. Are inscriptions really that powerful? Of course. Little Pig nodded. You haven't come into contact with inscriptions yet. Of course, I don't know much about it either. But inscriptions are really powerful. I told you before that making spatial spiritual tools is just a small path. Do you know? When you become proficient in inscriptions, you can learn how to make spatial spiritual tools. It's not a storage space, but a real spiritual tool for killing. Little Pig said, a spatial spiritual tool can use the power of space to kill the opponent. It can shatter space and strangle space. Think about how powerful it is. Even if a powerful inscription master's cultivation talent is average and his strength is weak, with his powerful inscription technique, no one dares to bully him. Not to mention the various uses of inscriptions. There are elixir inscriptions, weapon inscriptions, human inscriptions. Little Pig listed out all kinds of benefits to Luo Qingtong. If inscriptions are engraved on elixirs, they can increase the elixir's efficacy. If inscriptions are engraved on spiritual tools, they can increase the power of those spiritual tools. If inscriptions are engraved on a human body, they can increase the human's ability in all aspects. Do you think inscriptions are powerful or not? Then why didn't you mention it before? Luo Qingtong raised her eyebrows and looked at Little Pig. If inscriptions were so powerful, why didn't this pig encourage her to learn them? This was not like it. This pig could not wait to show off whenever it had something good. Just look at those useless rings it had taken out before. I want to say it too. Little Pig was depressed by her question. However, that old geezer Tianmingzi is the supreme master of this Tao. I've flipped through all the books he left for you, but there's no basic foundation. Otherwise, how could it resist showing off? That was because there was no chance. No wonder that damned old man was so excited after knowing that Luo Qingtong's talent in alchemy was astonishing, and wanted to pass his mantle to her no matter what. Besides himself, there was probably another reason, and it was that if he passed down the Tao of inscriptions to others, it would absolutely be lost in a matter of minutes. There wasn't even an introductory manual, so how was anyone supposed to learn it? However, it also knew that it couldn't blame Tian Mingzi. Their sect was already standing at the pinnacle of the Tao of inscriptions. Those introductory manuals couldn't be stored in the 9-story exquisite pagoda. It only thought of this when it escaped with all its might, but it was already too late. Otherwise, why would it cling on to Luo Qingtong, this life-saving straw? If it wanted to pass on its mantle, it could even give up on revenge. Luo Qingtong was also speechless by Little Pig's words. At this moment, she felt a movement in her palm. Only then did she remember that she still had a few medicinal pills in her hand. These medicinal pills can be taken back for Grandpa to consume. Luo Qingtong chuckled when she felt the medicinal pills moving restlessly in her palm. Then, she sealed them in a medicine bottle. Let's go. I'll refine some more and then go back. As for the matter of inscriptions, let's talk about it later. Chapter 351. Dongli Nation, Windgaze City. Old Master Chu wore a worried look. Recalling what the king had said to them today, he couldn't sit still. Tonight, the people assigned to the defense of the 4 gates should withdraw. No matter what you hear, the guards are not to move. In addition, all of you noble houses must restrain your subordinates. No matter what happens in this city, it has nothing to do with you. Do you understand? No one is to leave without permission. Dongli King's expression was fierce. Tianyu's empress had sent the ferocious Tiger Guard to eliminate the Luo clan. This was a great opportunity for him. He wouldn't allow anyone to stop him. Many of these noble houses were on good terms with the Luo clan. His warning was for them to consider their options and not go down the wrong path. Otherwise, they couldn't blame him for settling the score later. If he could eliminate the Luo clan, would he be afraid of eliminating a few more noble houses? Yes, Your Majesty. The patriarchs of the aristocratic families were all frightened by his words. They didn't know what was going to happen tonight. They had a bad feeling about it. As for old Master Chu, his heart was in turmoil when he saw Dongli King's gaze on him. If he guessed correctly, what happened tonight was most likely related to the Luo clan. Was the king preparing to make a move on the Luo clan? Old Master Luo had worked hard for Dongli Nation for half his life, using the Luo clan's resources to supplement the nation's fortunes time and time again. With the marriage agreement between the Luo clan and Tianyu's imperial family, the neighboring nations didn't dare invade Dongli Nation. Now that the king saw the Luo clan in trouble, not only did he want to kick them while they were down, he even wanted to exterminate them. Destroy the entire Luo clan? But Luo Qingtong still had an engagement with Tianyu's imperial family. As long as the 2 clans didn't break off the engagement, the king wouldn't dare make a move on the Luo clan. Suddenly, old Master Chu thought of a possibility as the color drained from his face. Did Tianyu's imperial family make a move themselves? With this thought in mind, old Master Chu's heart sank. If that was the case, then the Luo clan would be doomed this time. But, for the sake of face, the royal family of Tianyu would definitely hide their actions and find a reason to do so. Therefore, they couldn't act in the name of Tianyu's imperial family. If he wanted to help the Luo family, there was still a chance. As long as he doesn't listen to His Majesty. But, was it worth it? For the Luo family, was it worth sacrificing the entire Chu family? Old Master Chu's heart burned with anxiety. He paced back and forth in the hall as scenes flashed through his mind. He and Old Master Luo had quarreled for half of their lives, but they both admired each other's character. Although he didn't get along with old Luo, He had heard people talking about him. Old Luo told others that he was an upright and tough man who wasn't afraid of the Luo family's reputation. Old man Luo, your life isn't worth it. Old Master Chu couldn't help but cry when he thought of this. Both of them were devoted to the country, but the royal family didn't care about them. Without the lips, the teeth would feel cold. Old Master Chu didn't know if the Chu family would be next after the Luo family. Thinking of this, he gritted his teeth and summoned his son. Send someone to keep an eye on the Luo clan. If there's any movement, report it immediately. Yes, father. Although he was surprised, the latter obeyed and left. Old Master Chu sighed heavily as he watched his son's departing figure. You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.